Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison. This is Maintaining Frame number 194. Did liberal feminism or women ruin
Women.
the workplace? Where we're going to be looking at, well, it's sort of like a discussion that's been going on because I have a couple of different angles on it. So there was this woman, I think it all started, or at least this current, let's say, manifestation of and ever since she put out that essay, it's on Substack. She's been doing the rounds, going on various like podcasts and doing interviews, and experiencing probably a lot of resistance for even making the claim, essentially, that feminization is destroying, like, business, politics, relationships, and other things. And the one article, there was an article, is it the New York Times, called "Did Liberal Feminism Ruin the Workplace?" which is actually just a transcript of an interview that was a podcast and a video on YouTube, which I actually watched like a week ago or so, and I think I sent it to you because I looked into this Helen Andrews thing like a while back, and I thought it was really interesting and cool that like there was more people having this talk, like earnestly at least. But apparently it hasn't gone over well with all women, as someone wrote a response to the original interview, we made it into a video that I guess we're looking at today, which is what this is, right? It's a video transcript
Okay, yeah.
response article to the original discussion, which begs the question, or asks the question, did women ruin the workplace, was originally what it was called. But they softened it by saying, did liberal feminism ruin the workplace?
Actually, they moved it to. Are you?
Yeah.
There's a bit of an echo. They originally went from "Are women ruining the workplace?" and they changed it to "Are feminine vices ruining the workplace?" And now they settled on "Is liberal feminism ruining the workplace?" So one of those three. And a commentator called them. They didn't have a good sense of self-preservation, which really begs the question: who's targeting them for things that are contradictory to continuing to draw breath? But yeah, so those were the options that they had, or they went through, and then they settled on: did liberal feminism ruin the workplace? You seem a little distracted today, Brian.
No, I'm looking at the chat and I'm listening to you.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's right. I thought I
Yeah.
was. I'm paying attention.
Okay. All right. So
So
am I.
then, okay, so what's this response to it? Because I didn't see this.
Well, this response, I figured we could go through the article and we could discuss it. And incidentally, I know I'm tooting my own horn, but I talked about this for years now, right? And it's interesting to see that people who are, or women who are specifically zeroing in on specific aspects of what I talked about, how our world is losing the masculine toolkit, and basically the workplace has become feminized. And one of the big problems with that is we have no actual narrative to hold women accountable for the pitfalls that they generally have. We can't even have it. We outside of here, we can't even have a discussion, or it's very difficult to have a discussion about any potential pitfalls that women bring to the workplace. It's verbatim, like you're verboten. I think that's the right word. So it's interesting to see this, but it is great to see this discussion sort of getting out there and doing the rounds. And I wanted to pair this article, a discussion of this article, with a Medium blog rejoinder to the discussion of this article, because I figured that would be edifying, for a certain quality of edifying. So yeah, so do you want to just oh wait.
Response is the response that you, because I didn't, I got like the document. It just says, "Dear New York Times, don't threaten women with a good time." I didn't know that
Yeah.
was a Medium blog. I didn't have the original link to the website.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
Okay.
And I also uploaded a animation of the article.
Yeah, I have that up.
She's leaning quite hard to the left in the animation. That wasn't intended to be symbolic. It's just a rendering error. But yeah, so we could also we'll look at the response, the Medium response, and yeah, let's start with just the
Should we
article.
start with the Medium response then?
Do you want to start with the Medium response?
We could. I mean, the article is like long because it's essentially a transcript of a conversation, which is about an hour.
Mm.
I did try to upload the discussion to Coral to get time codes, but for whatever reason, Coral didn't like it. So I don't know. But I could have it look at the transcript and maybe extract time codes from a transcript, which is what the article is. But I don't know. So yeah, I know
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. The honest to God truth is we'll have no context for this, but maybe it doesn't need a context.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we can provide context. I can find. Hold on a second here. I can find the appropriate things, but why don't you, in the meantime, do
yeah.
the things? And I also have a super chow that we got yesterday from Pepito that we could like shout out really quick too.
Sure. Okay, so if any point throughout this show you would like to send us a message, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send us a tip, and very best way for you to be able to send your comment to us and not through YouTube's comment enhancement system. And if you would like to support the show, the monthly fundraiser is live now at feedthebadger.com/support. So please go there and help out so that we can continue to tell you about things that that people will realize are a problem 5 years after you tell us, or we tell you, after we tell you. So if you want spoilers in the future of the human race, make sure that we can stay on the air at feedthebadger.com/support. So, yeah, let's okay, all right, we'll do the Medium
Let's
blog.
start with the response, and then like if we need to, I can like hunt.
I do have a request.
Okay.
Don't do it do it at a little faster speed. Trust me on this. Otherwise, yeah, we're just gonna have to spend too much time on this.
It's fine. 1.25, okay?
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine.
NYT. Don't Threaten Women with a Good Time by Kate Cassidy. By now, I assume most of us have read last week's infamous New York Times think piece about women ruining the workplace. Once the gold standard of American journalism, the Times is now the kind of publication that produces podcasts known for platforming insurrection. Apologists as
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. What is interesting
is that when the New York Times lost you? Is that when it happened? That's when they lost credibility? Okay.
It's
Sorry,
interesting
go ahead.
that the problems have gotten to the point where people are discussing them on the New York Times, to be honest. Like that's one hell of a statement in and of itself. And maybe while we're all, describing the toes of the giant, maybe eventually people will be ready to accept that the toes are attached to a foot, and a foot is attached to a calf, and the calf is attached to a thigh, and the thighs are attached to a torso. And yeah, there's a gigantic giant right there in our culture that nobody wants to admit exists, or at least doesn't want to admit exists as a bad thing, as a potentially negative thing in our world. But maybe once we get enough people noticing the toes, eventually we can move on to like the instep. And God forbid, within the next 200 years, we get to actually recognizing the entire shape of the thing that is the problem. Okay.
All right.
they examine pretend concepts like toxic empathy and muse about the iPhone's role in America's declining birth rate. If you ask me, they really screwed the pooch by not blaming women for this one too. Talk about an airball, am I right?
Wait. We're not blaming women for what? What?
Or let me go back a little bit. She's trying to like poison the well before she gets into it by saying, they embrace made up concepts like toxic empathy. Not,
Mm,
I mean, like I don't think the term toxic empathy is correct in
it's
terms of describing
descriptive.
the problem, but I do think the phenomenon it's trying to describe is absolutely real. It's really not
Mhm,
empathy. It's solipsism disguised as compassion,
mhm,
self-serving, self-righteous, narcissistic. That's what it is. When people virtue signal on your behalf, on behalf of like the marginalized, and this is like a thing that women are really good at, they excel at it. It's not toxic empathy because there's no empathy there.
mm.
It's just like, I don't know, it's
Victimhood by Munchausen syndrome or
yeah,
proxy.
yeah,
Yeah,
victimhood by proxy.
yeah, victimhood by
Yeah,
proxy.
yeah.
His declining birth rate. If you ask me, they really screwed the pooch by not blaming women for this one too.
Declining
Okay.
birth rates as well, yeah.
Um, why do women like this have such a problem with blaming women? Like, I've
Uh,
always wondered that. It's just like they just have this knee-jerk reaction. Oh my God, how dare you blame women? Oh, women are always being blamed, which is patently false. We have a gigantic and completely unsupported narrative of blaming men for everything wrong in the world. So, no, women are not subject to the same level of blame. And the people who say that we always blame women are have an invested interest in saying that because they want to always blame men. I'm like, well, why not? Okay, so I guess I've just answered my own question. But on the
yeah.
other hand, you just take the blame. Like just take it. Just take it. Yes, women are to blame. Let's fix things now. Let's move on to the point of fixing things. Don't you have any interest in that?
No,
No. No. Like
no.
for me, it's like, well, women are to blame in these ways. And I'm like, okay, that means that we have these abilities in our toolkit to fix things. But for women like this, it's like, oh my God, I'm just going to melt. I'm like the wicked witch being doused with water. Okay.
Okay.
Talk about an airball, am I right? Apparently, doubt
Airball?
that, an NYT
An air ball is basically like basketball where you miss the shot
Oh,
completely.
yeah. Yeah. I know.
Essentially saying this is a missed opportunity to blame women. She's saying that
Oh, yeah. I
completely tongue in
totally
cheek
agree.
because,
It is.
we totally do that too much.
It's a genuine missed opportunity to blame women.
Yeah, it's
I feel
legitimately
like we could
like they
have
should.
done
I
that
I
here
think the New York Times probably blamed men for the birth rates.
for the birth
Probably.
rate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're creeping off to the left there, Brian. Maybe center a bit.
Oh, I could just move the camera.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to move.
All right.
All right. There we go. Everything
Okay.
is good.
editorial leadership put so much careful thought into this episode of the Interesting Times podcast that they thought it worthy of transcribing into an op-ed that had to be renamed not once, but twice because of the backlash it received. They simply never could have
Did it?
imagined.
I mean, this could have just been ABC title testing, lady.
It could have been, or being that it's the New York Times, the phone call came from inside the house telling them to
Mhm.
change it. Maybe it wasn't backlash from the outside.
The
Maybe it was
monster
backlash
is
from
in the
within.
house. The
Yeah,
call
that's
came from
that's what if I had to guess, I bet that's what happened.
Oh,
They
yeah, yeah,
they
you're
were like,
right,
let's
yeah.
put this out, and people who worked at the New York Times were like Taylor Lorenz or whatever got on the phone and was like, "No, I will not do this."
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, and, of course, that really says something about the culture of being able to speak these truths and hold women accountable, because that's the primary problem with women in the workplace. How do you hold them accountable? And the answer is you don't, because they are empowered with certain social tools to destroy anybody who tries to hold them accountable, unless they're also women, but they're pretty good at that too. They're pretty good at destroying other women. So, how do you hold women accountable, especially when there doesn't seem to be a very strong intra female will to hold each other accountable? This is something I notice. Women don't seem to have the will to actually police each other, particularly when it comes to their behavior towards men. Um, or their responsibility to anything besides the concept of the sisterhood. Whereas we have a justice system because men seem to have sort of this instinctive kind of, yeah, Ted's go over there doing something, something we don't like, I think, or something that is contrary to the interests of the group and also very harmful or morally bankrupt, and we got to go stop him. Thus, police, thus prisons, thus a judicial system, and I think that's why we have those things. And if it were up to women, they would probably be blaming the victims, because if you had like an all-female society, I would bet dollars to donuts what would happen is the female leaders in that society would blame the victims, because otherwise they'd have to recognize that women aren't perfect, aren't morally blameless. Yes, and that's not going to happen. Okay, all right.
Blaming an already marginalized group that makes up more than half of the nation's population.
Wait. That sentence is okay. A marginalized group that makes up more than half of the nation's population. So how are they marginalized? Is it just because men are stronger or whatever? Like what like it's weird that you're like they're marginalized and also the majority.
Well, of course. Well, it's because women are so superior that no matter what, they're always oppressed.
Yes.
They can't use their superior ways of cooperation to overcome the male hegemony, because reasons. Also, everything that feminism asserts is absolute dreck. Like every single one of their talking points is not scientifically sound and fails if you actually apply any kind of scientific rigor to it. So no, women are not marginalized. This is just 100% factually true. They do not experience marginalization relative to men in our society. You might argue there could be some in like a theocratic state, but that doesn't, like, the outlier does not prove the norm or does not change the norm.
Yeah, and even then, it's the men are probably also like
the men are also
not having a great time.
Yeah, nobody really enjoys a theocratic regime. They tend not to be fun times. They're not like, all inclusive ticket to, I don't know, a resort in the Caribbean. No, theocratic regimes are nobody's friend. Okay. Shall we listen to some more?
Failures of a system that wasn't built by and has historically excluded them might not land as well as they'd hoped.
What are you talking about? I mean, yes.
She's just asserting the same old BS talking point.
Yeah,
men own the system, therefore they used it to benefit themselves and women, and at the expense of women. It's just all she's is like, I'll just invoke this again, and
consider
then
this.
Will, get it.
Consider this, which is much more consistent with the empirical evidence. Men created the system in order to siphon resources to women. It's not that women weren't also creating their resources, but for the most part, the external system was to siphon resources to the family and to women. Okay. And then when women started to get into that system, they didn't understand the mindset. So the mindset is that men are cooperating to construct a system to bring resources into their families. And the system has to be put first, because that's where the resources come from. And women who are used to receiving resources and then manufacture, I mean, in previous areas, they would receive the resources and manufacture them into something. But just receiving resources, because again, we have this consumer identity developed by Hollywood progressives in like the 50s. And they're used to receiving these resources. So they go out into the system intended to create resources, and they think, this is a resource for me to receive. And that attitude is exactly diametrically opposed and destructive to the purpose and the functioning of the system that creates the resources. Because then you go in and you're like, oh, I like this gear. That's for me. Oh, I like this chute. That's for me. Oh, I like these raw materials. That's for me. And then you have no factory because everybody's gone in and decided that they're going to take it all apart for resources, not realizing that the point of the thing is to cooperate to create them. All right. It's a thought. It's a thought experiment.
That's
I
true.
think they could also apply to socialists, but I won't get ahead of
The
myself.
headline originally asked readers to ponder the not at all problematic question: did women ruin the workplace? Before it was
It
noticeable.
isn't problematic. Like okay, lady. All right. Can I just point something out? It's not problematic to assert that men constructed society for their own benefit, but that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable, even though it has absolutely no. It's not true. Like I don't know how to emphasize this enough. It is not true. And then, but it's okay. It's okay. No, it's not okay. It is problematic to say maybe women are a problem in the workplace. Men can be a problem for the entire universe, but women cannot be a problem for the workplace. I know the illogic, I know the double think, but I just wanted to point that out clearly.
No, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. All right.
Revised have feminine vices taken over the workplace. And because they're seemingly very low on both brain power and self-preservation instinct at the time.
Self-preservation.
Went on to change it.
What the
Yeah,
heck does
she's
that mean in
she's
this context?
these are the people who retitled the article that she's talking about. So she's calling the New York Times people dumb, which I'm not entirely against, but I don't think I think that this was actually like a good step. Like I commend the New York Times for even entertaining this as a concept, but I think they had no choice because like I said, Helen Andrews's original Substack essay was everywhere, and everyone was even people involved in Gamergate stuff
Yeah.
were talking about it. So it's like it's taken on a life of its own. It's gone pretty viral, and now the New York Times had no choice but to address it. They couldn't pretend like it wasn't there. So they were like, okay, let's talk to this lady. She seems reasonable. She's not one of those Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes manosphere types. And so they had her on. And I mean, you know, I think that was a good thing because I think that Helen Andrews is
100%.
she's hiding her power level a bit, in my opinion. So she's probably got more going on than people suspect. But yeah, so they went ahead and entertained it, and that for this woman was a bridge too far. Because of course it was. So
yeah, because it's no problem having half the workplace population not be able to criticize them at all. You can criticize men as a group, but you cannot criticize women, and that's not going to create a problem. That's not going to create a problem with the entire group of women. Okay, right.
Yep. All right.
Just one more time. Do we all think differently now that it's called Did Liberal Feminism Ruin the Workplace? For one, I'm not sure. I think I need it to be changed to should women even be allowed to work anymore?
Yeah, that's a
Before I
good
can really
question.
make up-
I know you're being sarcastic, but that is actually a really good question. If workplaces have no control over female employees, and female employees are capable of utterly destroying workplaces to cohere or to make them feel better, the females employees feel better,
Mm-hmm.
should women be in the workplace? Now, I know that feminists always go absolutely apeshit when I say things like that, but I'm saying either women are held accountable or they should be removed from positions where not being held accountable is going to harm systems, industries, whatever. Right? That there's two options there. And of course, feminists always default to, you want to take away women's right to work. No, I really want to hold them accountable. I'm just pointing out that those two things are incompatible. Okay.
Yeah, we can't like have them be essentially have power or authority over, you know, things like entire businesses, modes of building wealth and productivity, and even like controlling, you know, the economy of an entire country or at least like a region if they can't be criticized. Like that's insane. That's insane, right? So I like that this your character looks a little bit like Kamala Harris. Um
Yeah.
I don't know if that was on purpose or if the AI just like came up with something that
That's not
looks
AI.
like
That's
what the
actually
words sounded. What?
that's not AI. That's just I actually purchased a puppet kit. The
Ah, okay, okay.
backdrop is AI because I didn't have an avocado toast job backdrop,
That's why
so
the
everything
150s
is
fridge is just full of broccoli.
yeah.
Just nothing but broccoli.
It's I think that's supposed to be avocados, but
No, those are those
yeah,
are
well, it's
massive avocados or they're alien brains, but I'm gonna go with broccoli on that one.
okay.
I
Yeah.
think that's broccoli.
Well,
Maybe
there's a lot of
spinach?
green. There's a lot of green stuff being vended in this room,
Yeah.
which I thought was, that's fine. And then there's a lot of green things in teacups, which I assume are maybe some maca. So yeah, the backdrop is AI, but the puppet is actually created by human hands, I believe. So, and yes, she does look like Kamala Harris, or she does look like the the brown urban professional, which a lot of corporate material seems to prize. The not too black urban female professional trope. That is right there. So
Mhm. Okay. Anyway,
My mind about the very serious lady problem facing modern corporate America. At least the unflappable editors stood firm with the subhead of the article. That's remained unchanged and has been taking up prime release estate in my ever-growing mental Rolodex of
you
NYC
know,
Cup.
this has absolutely no actual logical analysis or argument over the content of it's all this offended me, so I'm going to act like a mean girl. It's like
yeah, there isn't I was gonna say it's not um it doesn't there's no substantive statements
no.
being made at all. And this is almost halfway done.
Mhm.
So like it's just bitching about the fact that they even dared to
They've
write
even
to
dared.
even post this thing to begin with. I did get time codes for the actual video she's mad about. So we can look at that.
It's
It's
an
got the
article.
no, I have the video. There was a
Oh,
video.
there's a video. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. The
Well,
article is a transcript of the video.
oh, cool.
So there
Oh,
was
that's for
originally a
sure.
podcast that was an interview between two women, Helen
This is
Andrews
cool.
and someone else, and the host who was a man. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, let's look at that.
yeah. Do you want to finish this first or no?
Yeah, let's finish it.
All
Let's
right.
complete this. Let's complete the cycle.
Yeah.
It asks in earnest, can conservative feminism fix it? I don't know. Can
No.
anyone tell you where literally anything is in
Like
the house?
literally nothing feminism can fix feminism. Yeah.
There is I don't even want to get into the
No, like this entire word and concept needs to be discredited, right? It needs to
problem
be
with liberal feminism is not the liberal part. It's the
yeah,
feminism
it's the
part.
feminism part, right?
Like
Okay.
this term liberal feminism, you guys made that up. You're trying to salvage something. I see
You
what you're
mean
doing. It's a
conservative
shell
feminism.
game. You're trying to hide feminism in some in places. You're basically just saying feminism equals women, and now we're going to move it over here. No,
No, no.
no, there's no such thing as conservative feminism. You made that up to salvage it. And of course, this is the New York Times' part to play in this because they're the ones trying to salvage it. Because people who are like, well, we need some kind of feminism, what they're doing is they're saying if this goes away, women will die.
Mm,
Like that's the like this word is the only defense that women all over the world have against men. It's the final, the last stand. It's the last bit of defense. It's the final shield against men. And it's like literally you don't need it. Just let it go. Let it go. You'll be fine. Men are not trying to hurt you. They're not.
no.
So
Well, here's the thing, like most of these problems or I don't know how many of these problems. Like I know you had a guest recently that talked about evolutionary or biological basis for these problems and I'm like, why don't we start, okay? Before we start the re-engineering the human race, why don't we start by no longer charging people for a false narrative that men have constructed society for their own benefit at the expense of women. The primary effect is, well, aside from negative psychological effects on men and boys, one of the big effects is that women always have a go-to to deny their own culpability. Okay? Like they always have a narrative that allows them to hide their accountability and deflect blame. Okay? And that is a problem. Now, what our first step could be, stop paying for it. Stop taking it out of people's taxes. Stop taking it out of their sales tax. Stop taking it out of their purchasing power by inflating the currency or increasing the amount of currency in circulation because you're making treasuries to pay for stupid programs that promote a lie. Right? Just let's start scaling back on all that. Kick it out of academia. Finally. Like get rid of it. Discredit every female or women's studies professor, every feminist bit of research. Get rid of it. Get it out of AI models. Let's start there. Okay. And we'll see what happens when women and men aren't subject to an omnipresent threat narrative against men, blaming them for everything in society and doing so with absolutely no validity. Like this is what happened is feminists decided a bunch of shit. You know, they're just like, I don't know, in some kind of flop house somewhere, and they decided the most egregious, absurd crap. And then they hijacked academia to start manufacturing evidence for their absurd crap. That is the exact opposite of how things are supposed to go. Right? You're supposed to have ideologically neutral data proving your premises. But yet they hijacked academia, they hijacked academic authority, and they produced garbage, which is why sociology and in particular feminism has a replicatability crisis. And I just like last night, oh, maybe I should save this for deeper in. I don't know. I'm talking about my Twitter adventures, and everybody's going to probably be like, "Oh my God, Allison's Twitter adventures." But okay, let's keep going. I'll save that for later if people are interested.
Why don't you name another imaginary concept that only exists in the minds of famously forward thinkers like Sarah Palin? Kudos to digging the hole deeper than any of us thought possible. NYT, because who needs to be burdened by critical thinking anyway?
Why do you have to retain any of this? Like, guys, that saying conservative feminism protect or this is just more of the same crap. So she gets so far, so close to actually hitting the nail on the head. And then they pivot to something like conservative feminism.
Well, this is New York Times pivoting, though, not her.
Yeah.
And this isn't even Helen Andrews pivoting to that either. I think the New York Times is trying they're trying to salvage the word. They're trying to salvage the word feminism by like trying to like reframe it. Let's add another word to the word, and then it'll save the original word. Now, this woman is like, at least I guess rightfully saying like this isn't a thing because conservative feminism is an oxymoron. And so she's like, no, that's like Sarah Palin. And obviously that's one of those non-women that I really hate. So this is not acceptable. But so they're both arguing or making arguments for something that nobody wants. Like nobody wants this. Right.
In the chat, Robert Johnson says real feminism has never been tried.
Yeah, we've already tried democratic feminism, scientific feminism, or socialism, whatever. Why not liberal? Yeah, exactly. It's just an attempt to rebrand. This whole thing is about branding. It's almost always been. So like if you can accept, oh yeah, I guess like next it'll be like, how about moderate feminism? How about 90s feminism? How about Mary Tyler Moore feminism? Like whatever. It's all the same. They're just rebranding it, and it doesn't actually change anything. It's just a way for these people to save their jobs so they can keep getting paid and they can keep complaining about men. Like they need it. And the thing is, even if we got rid of the word, even if the word feminism disappeared from our vocabulary tomorrow, these women would still complain about men. It wouldn't change anything. They just come up with a new word to describe it. You know, they just call themselves something else. So
Yeah.
it's actually the attitude that has to die.
Yes.
And that begins with making it very, very unfortunately, it's what works on women, making it very unfashionable. And you do that by making it something that is like, you know, no one wants to be attached to. And I think that's how you could kill it. But that starts with being able to blame women, like blaming them
Hmm.
for their mistakes and holding them accountable.
Yeah, that's
So
it. That's all that has to happen. Again, I'm just like, what do you think? What do these women think honestly will happen if tomorrow? Wait, I'll run this by you, Brian. This thought experiment. What if tomorrow every woman woke up and was realized that they were capable of doing things wrong, and that men should probably be included in their analysis, like men's actual opinions, not just I want you to feel this way opinions. If they actually included men in their analysis and men's vulnerabilities in their analysis, and they started to take responsibility for potential negative effects on other people, what do you think men would do? Would probably drop dead
oh,
in
they would have
shock.
absolutely. We would throw them in chains and you know, force them to make babies and clean and make us sandwiches. That's obviously what would happen.
Yeah,
Because
and then
but if they keep the word feminism, then that's not happening. Guys can't
yeah, well,
we
they
can't
keep the
act
word
against it.
feminism,
That's like kryptonite.
and they keep being unbelievable woke scolds and nags, and having
Mhm.
absolutely no charitability to men, and constantly abusing and outright like being cruel to men. Somehow that's going to stop men from subjugating them. That's what's going to do it. This is so absurd. Okay, so having a sense of responsibility, right? That's not that, if women did that and actually cared about men in a genuine sense, because you don't, like, let's face it, I don't think 95% of women really understand what men go through or even accept it, right? I could be wrong. Maybe that's high because I deal with a lot of nonsense people on Twitter. But
Mhm.
I don't think if women woke up tomorrow and started recognizing men's issues and started recognizing the potential pitfalls that they bring to and human endeavor, started recognizing their flaws, right? And started recognizing the feminine shadow, that suddenly men would be like, oh, you've done it. Now to the sandwich mines with all of you. Like, why wouldn't men be doing it now when they have to deal with all this crap? Right? Why would suddenly being like, okay, let's stop this, let's take responsibility. Why would that be the thing that made men snap and say, "Oh, to the sandwich mines with you," and not the unbelievably high volume skull, like vitriol and bitterness and contempt and lack of any kind of gratitude? Like, why would it be the positive emotions that would get men to send women to the sandwich mines? Like, if that is even on the table, why would that be it? Why would that be the trigger point? Okay. Anyway, but
Yeah.
that's the implication here. Okay.
All right.
Them to exist, you must have the cognitively deficient understanding of feminism to simply mean letting women have thoughts and speak them out loud. In all seriousness, as a communications and political science scholar with nearly
Is
20
that
years
really
of
what feminism is? Is it?
No, no, no.
Okay. No.
No, she's saying it's more than that. That she's saying that if you believe that there is such a thing as conservative feminism, then that means you think that the extent of feminism is let me find it here. I can just read it. Um, the extent of it is simply allowing women to think. So I don't know. Let me see here. Why don't you name another imaginary concept that only exists in the minds of famous forward thinkers like Sarah Palin? Kudos to digging the hole deeper than any of us thought possible, New York Times, because who needs to be burdened by critical thinking anyway for conservative feminism to exist? You must have the cognitively deficient understanding of feminism
What
as
is
simply means letting women have thoughts and speak them out loud. So what she is saying is that To say that there is such a thing as conservative feminism would be to say that feminism itself is just letting women have thoughts and speak, when she's
So
saying it's a lot more than that. That's
yeah, the
what.
implication is that feminism is also constraining what women think and speak.
Well, that's also true, but I don't think that's what she would argue. But
No, but that's
let's
what she's been
let's
arguing in inverse, and I'm going to tell you
yeah.
why. I'm going to tell you why. Because when she says that it's just saying conservative feminism is just allowing women to have thoughts and speech, what she means is that there's some additional aspect to feminism that would restrict women from actually having the thoughts and speech that she thinks is wrong, right? It's like yeah, feminism allows women to have thoughts and speech, but it's not just that. It's also that women would know that certain types of thought and speech are wrong. That's what she's saying.
Mhm.
Well, maybe it's not coming across, but
Well,
okay,
let's see what she would say.
okay.
Navigating the complexities of workplaces of vastly differing sizes.
Also, she
industries,
doesn't know what
demographics.
critical thought is.
No, of course not.
I can tell you with certainty, based on something we used to call facts, that corruption, nepotism, wage theft, abuse of power, political oppression, and unsafe working conditions all existed long before women showed up to be part of the fun. Who ushered
Okay,
in
then
days
you
of
guys didn't. Well, first of all, then you're overselling yourselves because you said you were going to improve all that. But regardless, yeah, all this stuff did exist, but did it exist to this level? Or
Yeah.
actually, did the problems of that women bring, because women bring their own problems. They bring chilling atmosphere, they bring censorship, they bring social bombs, and they bring false accusations that are more likely to be believed than actually investigated, right? And they bring all kinds of tensions. So it no longer becomes about a workplace doing the work that's intended, and it starts to be becoming about the workplace making them feel good, right? And not all women do this. The problem is that the ones with social power are really inclined to, right? So the women who have whatever knack it is to create social power, they seem to be very much inclined to create this kind of chaos to soothe themselves, right? And the women who just want to get things done end up being mired too. And unfortunately, how we structure things now empowers the chaos agents, empowers the heiresses in our midst. Eris is the goddess of strife, and it doesn't actually help anybody. It doesn't help anyone, man or woman, who just wants to get things done. And again, there's no accountability, right? There's no overarching structure of accountability for women, and women have this ability to restructure social situations towards them. I mean, obviously that's an evolutionary advantage, because that's what they do, because they need to be able to acquire resources from large social groups, so they structure social groups towards their benefit. It's like a survival strategy. Not going to say that that's like, I'm not going to pass judgment on that, but there does need to be some way of controlling it when it's not beneficial to the workplace. And what we've done instead is just try to put out a fire with gasoline by giving all of these women even more cover and plausible deniability with feminist narratives that this woman is now spouting to avoid any kind of blame or responsibility. Okay, I got it
All right.
back. I got it back.
of crony capitalism. Who was at the helm during the 2008 financial crisis? What brave leaders paved the way for the opioid epidemic?
So she's basically saying that men ran things, therefore it's their fault. Although that's not that's not true.
Okay,
Anyway,
well,
and women have been in the workforce since what? And that things have, I mean, according to you, you would say that things are worse than ever. So women entering the workforce did not improve it. But now you're saying, oh, it's because women weren't in charge of everything. No.
oh, okay, yeah, but that is true. She is acknowledging that things are worse than ever. The problem is that we don't, it could be that the increase in female leadership without accountability, I would honestly lay my chips on that if I were betting, is the problem. Okay.
Mhm.
And the narratives that allow women to evade accountability are the problems. Those narratives make women nightmares to work with. Women like this, right? Because they will not take responsibility. But all right, let me think. But so I would lay my chips on that being the problem. But she's just like, she doesn't understand that the system was working fine.
Yeah.
Like in the 60s, we put somebody on the moon, lady. Right? And that was with 60s technology. And now we are no longer looking outward. We're getting more and more insular. And setting all that aside, there are industries that have become female dominated. I've been investigating one over the last few days. Actually, a few days before that. This was before my latest Twitter adventure. And the industry that I'm investigating was the print industry. And it's shenanigans. And what's relevant about the print industry, it is basically overwhelmingly female now. Right? I think that the editorial and acquisition staff is now less than 30% male. And so they've locked that
Well,
down.
Helen Andrews goes into some of that stuff, like that, the professions where women have become a majority and how they have like negatively affected it. But this woman, I don't think she addresses that. She's just gonna
No.
say
No, she addresses it
capitalism is to
partially.
blame.
But anyway, so I've been doing this deep dive into the printing industry. And the printing industry is utterly fucked. In fact, there is no real printing industry right now. It's living off of the perennial stales. I think perennial is the right word. The long tail of the print industry that existed like 20 years ago. So it's living off of its back catalog. What that means is it's living off of all of the books that were published when men were the dominant editors and acquisition staff. That's their main revenue now. I mean,
Mhm.
it was always very substantial. Like in like 2005, it was 50%. Now it's over 70 because they aren't actually building that backlist. Nothing that they're producing is really building the backlist. And or it's like these books are not successful in the way that they used to be. So that whole industry is living off of the echoes of valor and glory of when it was male dominated. And eventually it's going to implode from a comedic series of errors and lack of vision because of extreme risk aversion. And I'll go into it more deeply if you guys are interested, but I sense that Brian wants to finish this today. So
Yeah, today, sure.
Toxic banking culture, and massive fraud the likes of Enron. Women didn't inherit some pristine corporate Eden, but they're certainly getting blamed for eating that damn apple again. Despite inheriting
yes,
systems built,
you're getting blamed for the problems that are resulting from you dominating certain sections of the
No,
business world.
no
Okay.
one's saying business, like all business everywhere is bad and women are to blame. What
Oh,
they're
maybe I
saying
will.
is
No,
women are
no.
uniquely causing a unique set of problems, and this
Yeah.
could be addressed. Like we're ignoring it because
Yes.
it's women.
Yes.
That's the problem.
100%. No, but run by that women are to blame for everything in the business world again. Say it again.
Want me to go back?
No, you said it. You say it again.
Oh, I'm saying like
We're
the
not saying that
we're not saying, no one is saying that, I don't know, like corruption exists and some of it is in the workplace and women have always been the cause of it. All of
okay.
it. No one is like, this is like
No one's
obviously
saying
like
that,
a
is it?
straw man.
Nobody.
What they are saying, what Helen Andrews is saying in her video, and the people who are trying to talk about this, is that there is a certain kind of feminine, let's say, vice that has negatively impacted a company's ability to function the way it did before, and that it should be addressed. And these issues are uniquely coming from the women, and the reason for it, at least one of the reasons for it, is that no one wants to talk about it
Yes.
because women.
Yes.
That's like the main reason for that. Like if it was just men, like Enron, for example, there's like documentaries about it. We know they're corrupt. We saw the whole thing unfold. Nobody got offended. Nobody said, "Oh my God, you're attacking men everywhere for this." No one said that because it's retarded to say. We were just like, "Yeah, that's fucked up. That's corrupt." Right? And when men do wrong, nobody has a problem pointing it out. Nobody capes for them. Nobody acts
Yep.
like they're innocent or misunderstood or oppressed or damaged or think about their childhood or whatever. None of that works. They can't cry in court and get let off easy. None of that works. But when women are doing stuff, everyone changes. They're like, oh my God. Remember the chick
Mhm.
that started her own company? It was a scam.
Theranos. Theranos?
Yeah, Theranos, right. The Theranos chick. Right. I mean, they're like obviously like a scammer. I think she used her boyfriend or something, and
Mhm.
like all of this. And there was just like one simp story after another that was oh, she's a victim of the system. Oh, they were taking advantage of her. Oh, whatever, right? They made a show about her or a movie or something with I forget her name, but the chick from Clueless, or not Clueless, Mean Girls was in it. Anna Seyfried, Amanda Seyfried. So, and it's all sympathetic. It's all like, oh, she's just a woman, whatever. So Helen Andrews is trying to like talk about something very specific, and it's not like no corruption existed before women came along. That's a ridiculous case. Nobody's making that claim. So
Okay, Gin
anyway,
Bottle says women never did more than dip their toe into printing. I said publishing. Did I say printing? Print houses. It's publishing, not
publishing.
literal printing. It's publishing. Sorry if that was
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You're not talking about the actual work,
Yeah, we're not talking about the actual like printing of paper.
the hard work stuff, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, she's already like misrepresenting, but I mean, this is what they do. They this is what they do. And of
Okay.
course, the whole thing is, by the way, the whole thing, I don't know if you noticed the tone of the writing of this is like, women are like, she's trying to like attack the New York Times, which by the way is very like, it's pretty far left, like regardless of everything, they still are. They just entertained this so that they could reframe it in some way. That's why they entertained it. But this woman didn't think that was good enough because it's never good enough, but she's still framing it like they're wrong. Essentially, she's presenting her case as though the New York Times is bullying women, and they're the big evil New York Times that doesn't understand systems, and so they're also dumb and ignorant, and they're taking it out on the poor women that are just trying to like make ends meet with their job in this corrupt system that's got it out for them, and like the orange man and like capitalism and all these bad systems, and these poor women are just getting abused by by not only all those systems but now the New York Times on top of it. And that's basically the way she's framing it. So they're victims of the fact that she has to write this article. So
Mm-hmm.
there you go, it's emotional labor.
And for men, many of which were already failing all on their own terms. The NYT wants you to conflate the revelation of the problem with the problem itself. And there's so much that the podcast fails to acknowledge here. The conversation completely ignores race, literally anything having to do with it. The fact that DEI training, anti-harassment laws, safety protocols, etc., were responses to existing problems, and again, are not the problem.
No, they were mostly problems that apparently happened when you guys entered the workplace, and they problematized the existing male workforce. And also those protections don't extend to men. Don't give me this crap. Men do not feel served by workplace harassment protections. It's why they like reveal that they have been harassed at something like I think maybe 1/3 the rate of women. So, and pretty much for equivalent crimes. So this is like stuff, and the workplace harassment stuff took away from the workplace safety stuff, which is unfortunate because that one really affects men. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The reality that women are still disproportionately absent from positions of power. How can it be that women, who hold just 10% of Fortune 500 CEO roles, earn less on average and are underrepresented at every leadership level, but are still somehow the main cause of a broken corporate America?
This is what they do, right?
Yeah. Every time.
She
Fortune
is
500 companies,
well, not just that, but
positions of power.
she is saying, like Helen Andrews is saying, women are responsible for these specific things that are, in fact, women are responsible for them, right?
Yeah.
And she's saying,
Oh,
she's
so you're
saying,
saying it's all
you're
things,
saying it's
all women, all the
all our
time?
fault since the beginning of time. This is what the perpetual blame shifter does, right? This is what I see, and this is particularly something I see women fall prey to.
Yeah.
Instead of taking responsibility for something that was within their power, they take responsibility for something outside of their power, right? And then they get everybody to say, oh, it's not your fault, so that they can ignore responsibility for the thing that's within their power. I remember a particular anecdote about a group therapy session where this therapist was leading the session. He was a man. He was leading the session for a bunch of women, and these women were, they had alcoholism, they had family abuse, they had all kinds of other stuff. And one woman talked about how her alcoholic like partner, wasn't the father of the child, would beat her child. And she would say things like, I'm so responsible for his abuse. And then the women would be like, oh, no, you're not. You're not responsible for his abuse. You're not responsible at all. And then the male therapist would say, yeah, you're not responsible for his abuse. But why didn't you protect your child? That is something that you were responsible for. Why did you stay and allow your child to experience that? And I know feminists will say, but, the death, that is such a tiny percentage. You might as well say, don't walk outside because you'll get hit by lightning, right?
Yeah.
This is like, she decided to take responsibility for his abuse because she knew everybody would be like, oh, there, you can't possibly be responsible for that. So she didn't have to take responsibility for what she was responsible for, which was protecting her son. And that's what I see women do. And in particular, it's a female failing. Oh, are you saying I'm responsible for the heat death of the universe? No, Gladys. I'm saying you're responsible for leaving the rec or the break room in a shambles. Oh, I can't believe you say I'm responsible for the 2000 or the 1929 stock. No, I'm saying you're responsible for the thing you're doing right now, which is evading responsibility. Oh, you think I'm responsible for the tsunami,
Yep.
the eruption of Mount Vesuvius that took out Pompeii? No, I'm not saying that. And this is the same thing. She is exaggerating what these people are saying women are responsible for in order to not take responsibility for a damn thing. And the fact that she gets away with this and people don't laugh at this is a problem. Okay.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Did we do that super chow from that Pepito put through already?
I don't know.
It was
You
before
mentioned
the
it.
show started. He sent one through
Oh,
yesterday.
right. Okay,
He
guys, if
sent
you like, do you want me to shill the super chow while
Go
you?
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Send those super chows in. You're so quiet. Is it just the Monday? Is it the topic? It's like not very well trafficked. Feedthebadger.com/just the tip. Send those super chows in. Tell us we're not screaming into the void. Be very greatly appreciated. And okay. He
All
just
right.
said honey for the badgers. So
Yeah, he sent us yeah, but I thought I would acknowledge it. 25 and then I think something for the
no,
fundraiser and said
it's a
honey
new
for the badgers.
subscription. Yeah, it was he
Oh,
increased
well,
his
thank you,
subscription.
Pepito. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
All
very
right.
much. Thank you, Pepito.
Women have feminized the workplace. You'd think that would translate into putting themselves in charge? No. The notion that capitalism itself may be the true source of burnout.
Well, they put themselves in charge of some very
Oh my
critical
God,
departments like
capitalism
HR and
itself.
PR.
Like, what is working then if you're not trying to make money so you can buy stuff? Like, what are you talking about? And yeah, women don't have to necessarily have like a nameplate and a corner office to have power. They could just be
No.
in HR departments. And that's like the thing too, is that a lot of what Helen Andrews is talking about is the HR departments and how they're weaponized to destroy men who are like, in the lower rungs. It's not like this is another one of these cases of apex fallacy where women like this are like, but CEOs aren't like, losing their job. I mean, yeah, CEOs can lose their jobs too, but like, she's looking at the CEOs and it's like, no, it's the guys like, in the lower levels that are dealing with this because these women in middle management that get into positions of power, or they work in HR, or they just use HR as a weapon against men in the workplace, or other women, in fact, because that's another thing that she talks about. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But like, obviously, this person doesn't care about those men. I mean, she doesn't care about any men, but she especially doesn't care about working class men,
She
like
also
middle
doesn't care
class
about women
men.
who don't agree with her. But
Yeah,
yeah.
or women that disagree with her. Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, HR could destroy a company too. Like it can, even if it doesn't, like they're not at the top, but they can like destroy their reputation. It can be bad for that company.
Family
Mm-hmm.
dynamics, institutional dysfunction, billionaire, supremacy, and the like. The research on the material benefit.
Billionaire supremacy. Get together with a bunch of other billionaires, burning crosses on your lawn. It's something that they do.
That women in leadership provide, from increased innovation to less corruption, more transparency, better crisis management, and
Nope.
beyond. The faintest possible.
Oh, brother, here's a whole bunch of
No.
positive things.
No.
Again,
All of this science
again,
does not. It's
she never
doesn't work.
claimed that Helen Andrews never claimed that women don't do anything good. But that's even the woman that Helen Andrews debates on this in the video that this was transcripted from did not like was trying to protect some kind of like, golden calf that was feminism, and Helen Andrews was like, I'm trying to be like as objective as possible in talking about this. And she's like, are you trying to take women's, I mean, not literally, but like, can we find something positive to say about women though? And she's like, why are we doing that? So I don't know.
Yeah. Why do we have to do that? Why do we always have to tie?
We shouldn't. It's a land acknowledgement. Yeah, it's bullshit.
Okay.
Before I start, guys, I don't hate women. Like, that's so dumb.
You see, every time people say things like that, I just want to say, yeah, I hate women and I blame them. I don't know what, I think it's my contrarianism or something. It's like you want to stop me from saying this? Well, I got to say it. Of course, there's some things that you can't say on YouTube.
Yeah.
Without, the nuke being hit. But anyway, let's finish this off.
All right.
That General Z is right about the structural injustices they observe in the workplace. Like most other injustices, those who don't wish to acknowledge their existence are conveniently the ones that benefit from them the most. If dysfunction and society's foundation.
Okay, none of these are accurate. Like all of the things that she's saying that she's a victim of, no, none of them are accurate. Like it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Not. Yeah.
She's just threat narrativing, guys. She's
Mhm.
just spinning a narrative of threat. Okay. It's workplaces. Workplaces are the threat, not women. Workplaces exist, women most affected. But
Yep.
also workplaces in ruin, women most affected. It's like she's in competition with the workplace. Now people have said, wow, what if women have a negative effect on the workplace? In some constrained instances, right? And she's like, oh my God, something might be getting victimhood points more than me. Not allowed. Okay.
All right.
Solutions is at an all-time high. We should consider that our modern problems cannot be solved by continuing to operate in accordance with and perpetuate the traditional masculine norms we've been conned into believing are the only roadmap for success.
What traditional masculine norms we've been conned? You mean white things? Because that's the other thing. They're just white people things, apparently.
Well, like just the thing is like, I don't know if you noticed, but These people never actually have a proposed solution. They only have criticism.
Yep.
That's all they talk about is tearing down, tearing down, tearing down, because that is all they want. They don't actually want to fix anything. Like women want to work. Like even if I'm like really objective about like why women work, I think it's because like at the baseline, it's because they need money and they need
Mhm.
resources to live, and so they work to live. They work because things aren't free, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. Um,
Mhm.
she's she's like celebrating all of the accomplishments that women who work have, like all of the good that women bring to the workplace, but she also hates the idea of work itself
Mm.
because she calls it oppressive and masculine and capitalist and stuff, which she also doesn't like. So she doesn't actually like work. She doesn't
No.
actually want that, but she won't make the argument against it because if she does, then it actually like follows that the things that she's trying to defend, which is women working, she can't because she's also against working. So like she's for
Mhm.
women working, but she's against working itself, right? She
Mhm.
can't hold those two positions at the same time. So instead, she doesn't advocate anything. She doesn't say, well, this is what we could do to fix this problem. She instead says, this problem doesn't exist. And if it does exist, it's actually not this problem. It's men and it's capitalism and it's property rights and it's stuff and it's whiteness and it's things like, keeping track of time and using logic. Those are all the problems, but I'm not going to propose an alternative because there isn't one. I'm just going to keep criticizing it. And this is how critical theory works. You just criticize things until they lose all meaning and they just spiral out into the ether and disappear. And so there's no objective. This is why
Mhm.
like it's often Lindsay and I like to say that these people will say we got to have a conversation about having a conversation because it never goes anywhere. It's just a conversation about a conversation about a conversation, but no solutions are ever offered. Nothing is ever proposed because they can't. And if you do, then you're part of the problem. That's why
Mhm.
Helen Andrews or even, James Damore, the guy who uh, worked at Google and he put together that I think it was like a presentation that explained why affirmative action for women might not work because it wasn't getting the results they wanted because they were looking for parity. And he was like, well, that's not going to happen. And it's because of women's preferences and it's because of this and this and this. And he was very, very fair. And himself, he was like, I would like to see more women in the workplace. So he was coming at it from the same perspective in terms of goals that Google had. He had the same goal. He's like, well, yeah, let's do that. And then he was like, well, here are the challenges we're going to have. So actually proposing a solution to a problem, or at least saying here are the challenges we're going to have if we're going to try to address this. And he got fired for that because he dared to even say women are different than men. And this guy was about as like moderate as it came when it comes to like trying to even talk about this stuff. But the problem is he tried to talk about the stuff instead
Yep.
of just complaining along with everybody else. And so this is the only way this could go. And this is where Helen Andrews was trying. She was also proposing things, and they were all very reasonable. And of course, that made her the enemy because they're like, you're not supposed to be solving problems. You're just supposed to complain. You're just
Mhm.
supposed to complain and then get everybody else to get in on it with you because that's how we make money. That's how we survive. We get paid to talk about these things, to complain about these things, to have conversations about conversations. And nothing is actually supposed to get done until it loses all meaning. And that's what I think the purpose of it is. It's to talk until it doesn't mean anything anymore. And then no one even remembers what it was originally about.
I realized another way to look at this. In the 50s, we basically stripped women's productive identity from them and replaced it with a consumptive identity. So the homemaker who consumes instead of like the homesteader who is productive. And with a caveat, guys, there is one point that is like if you were a homemaker might actually be a really, really good use of your time. If you're a very educated woman, spending your time being at home and teaching your children and being highly involved in their education will yield geniuses at a rate 5 to 7 times higher than any other situation, aside from both parents staying home and being highly involved in the education of their children, which will yield geniuses at a 15 to 30 times higher rate than the average rate of geniuses. But aside from that, we took women from being producers to consumers, and that was because of progressive progressive Hollywood values, right? They actually destroyed the original traditional relationship, or sorry, the original traditional identity of women as producers for their families. And you can still see this in traditional societies. Women aren't supposed to be sitting there consuming in traditional societies. That's why they have more STEM degrees. They are expected to provide for their families, which means they still have that identity of female providership. Now, in the 50s, again, we have Hollywood, we have Madison Avenue, we probably have the CIA as well somewhere in there, deciding to take women from productive people to consumptive people, people who define themselves by their ability to consume. Now, once you define women by their ability to consume, and then they've consumed all of the gadgets that make their job in the home basically part-time and mostly just entertainment. And what next do they have to consume? Well, you can have them consume rights, which they did. So they look at rights as consumables, not essential to responsibility. So they don't see responsibilities and rights as being something that are paired. They just see rights as consumables. And then after you've consumed all the rights, what's next? Well, jobs. And again, these women with this new identity of consumer go into the workplace seeing their jobs as consumables, as things that make them feel happy, as things that allow them to socialize, as things that give them prestige, but not things that actually keep a business alive. Now, does that not explain a lot of the behavior of women when they go into the workplace? And I'm not talking about lower class, middle class women, but women like this, privileged women, when they go into the workplace and they get these avocado toast jobs that apparently Elon could fire 90% of and not affect the working of Twitter. So these are jobs that do nothing. They don't shift the bottom line for the businesses that they're a part of. They're just prestigious. They're entertaining. You get to socialize. You occasionally write an email. And you eat plenty of avocado toasts and maca lattes. And that's basically your job. It's a consumable. It's not a job. And that attitude in the workplace destroys economies because it takes productive industries and turns them into slop, consumable slop for the people in them. So that it takes a productive industry and it bloats it with jobs that are about the person in the job enjoying themselves, feeling prestigious, socializing, doing an occasional bit of work, but still it still gives them a sense that they're what matters. Not the job, not the business, but them, because they are consuming. They're the consumer. They're the one that needs to be pleased. And I think that's actually squares the circle for her attitude towards jobs. No, she doesn't. She thinks that work is horrible. She thinks that the toxic masculine approach to work is horrible, which is you go to work, you do a job, you do the job because you get paid, but you also do the job potentially because you don't want your business the business that pays you to go under. You do the job because it's there to be done. Or if you're a man, I don't know, men are like, you could just put something out there that needs to be fixed and guys will just sort of gravitate towards it and be like, okay, how do we do this? Right? It seems to be inbuilt to the masculine psyche to find problems to fix. So that they bring that's the toxic masculinity approach to jobs. She doesn't like that. She wants the modern consumer approach to jobs, which is the job exists for her. The job exists to make her feel good and her feel special, and to give her avocado toast breaks, and to give her the opportunity to do hot yoga with the girls. That's what jobs exist for. They don't exist to keep a business alive.
Yeah.
All right. And that's
All right.
probably why women will do jobs where they don't get paid if they're prestigious and they feel like they're going to be entertaining, and they're basically consumable jobs. All right. I'm
All right.
good.
I got a super chat from Albatross for 5. And he says, odd that the women / activists, etc., want to tear down the structures we take for granted, but at the same time demand safety and comfort. Cognitive dissonance. Yeah, women thrive in paradox. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
They do. I don't know.
No, it's
And maybe again, it's not about the nails.
short-sighted. It's short-sighted.
Yeah, and yeah, that's we just have to ignore them. I don't know. I mean, we can't really, but all right.
No.
There's 30 seconds left in this.
Okay.
From AI and climate change to the collapse of American democracy and rise of global fascism cannot be solved with more conflict and less empathy. D.L. Ducker. This article asks.
All right. So anyway, that was the end.
But it's
So yeah,
okay.
now we got. You notice how she goes? She pivoted immediately to more like feminist talking points. Climate change, global fascism, capitalism, and we need empathy. That's it. That's the solution. More empathy.
It's not empathy if you're just a woman giving it to other women, to not even to women. You're just a woman giving it to the narrative that you think gets you the things you want. That's not empathy. Yeah, you say that we need more empathy. Show it to the group of people you're not, which is men. Then and you're right. It's because the thing is, they talk about toxic empathy, and the real problem is it's selective empathy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, very.
Okay, can we get
right.
into the other part?
Yeah, let's get into the other one. So we got it right here.
Oh, it's long. 1 hour.
We'll start with the stinger. So Helen Andrews is the woman on the left with the glasses,
Mhm.
and I forget the other woman's name, but not that important. So, and we'll play the stinger clip. So this is like what the other chick got upset about was this conversation taking place. Okay.
Really couldn't get purchase on from your essays. I never got a sense of whether there were female virtues at all from your piece.
If you want to know what I like about women,
that's not my
you can
question.
ask me. In fact, I invite you to commission from me an entire essay on the subject, what I like about women. My freelance rates are very reasonable.
What do you like about women?
So she wrote this piece specifically about the great feminization, which is the bad things that an overly feminized space can result in. And this woman who was critiquing her, apparently not like the opposite of Helen, but like was concerned about the tone. Surprise, surprise, a tone policing woman, I know. But she was like, did you have anything nice to say about women? I want to know. And she's like, if you want to know, I could tell you because I'm right here. You're upset that I didn't put it in the piece, but the piece wasn't about what makes women nice, right? So that's the
I would just say no. There's nothing I like about women. I can't even describe anything that I like about women. The first and primal thing a human being needs to do to be likable is take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to take criticism. So why don't you demonstrate likability, lady? And then maybe I'll say if I like you.
All right.
But, so does she play the silly buggers game?
The silly buggers?
Yeah, it's just like do they railroad her into saying what she likes about women?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think she does. I think she sticks to her guns, basically.
Good for her. Some moral courage. Yeah. Congratulations. That's likable.
Yeah. So he says, do you the host guy is like, do you like women?
What do you like freelance rates are very reasonable.
What do you like about women, Helen?
Do you like men? What is this? Okay, so do you like women? All right. Well, does this guy like men?
I think
Is
he
that the
probably does.
criteria for? So was that the criteria?
Well,
for
she has
judging?
positive things. Look, so Helen Andrews has positive things to say about men in her piece because she's talking about what men bring to the table to a professional atmosphere that's good that women shut down or take for granted or dislike, and that it is the interaction between a feminized workplace and men's way of working, operating, that clash is what's causing problems. And Helen's trying to address it. She acknowledges basically with men that they're full human beings. They have, things that they're good, and then there are things that could be, that they have their own vices, but generally those vices are addressed when they become a problem. But women's vices are not. That's the main thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And the thing is that I'm much more hard line because I know that once you start playing the silly buggers game, you never get back on topic. Like once you start playing the do you like women game? Well, do you like men? No. Do I have to like women? Does liking women make what I say more true? Right? Why do we all have to fucking like women? Why is that necessary? Why does that be like the precondition to actually speak? All right, I'm gonna let the cat in.
Okay, should I play the video? There's more.
Men and women are really different. But what do those differences mean? Should the right be trying to roll back the entire feminist era?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, they're not going to say that, but I don't know that they could. I don't know that you could do that, but should they? Yes, but I don't think you can.
Okay,
Cat's out of the bag.
No, but we could actually roll back. Now, the thing is, the feminist era is what? Women working? Well, they always did, right? The feminist era is women having saying in politics? Well, they always did. Feminist era is women being onboarded to the things men construct as soon as it's bureaucratically reasonable for them to do so, and it's stable and it provides more benefit than it takes in terms of risk. That's always been the case. Like this is like you go look through human history. There's no part of human history resembles anything to do with feminism. So what we're really asking is, should we dismantle a ideology that co-opted academia to create legitimacy for itself based on around unsubstantiated and very hateful allegations against men? And the answer is yes. There is no way that not dismantling that, there's no way that dismantling that is not going to result in a net gain for the entirety of the human race. So the answer is yes. We should 100% dismantle feminism. And don't let the thing that's being dismantled protect itself by have you ever watched I think it was Frieren, like this it's this anime with this very aged aged kind of elf who is not like she doesn't look aged, but she is really old, and she's reminiscing about her former human traveling companions who have all died, or most of them have died. Well, the humans have died, but there was one dwarf who's still alive. And at one point they have this race of demons that manages to infiltrate human society by manipulating our sense of compassion and empathy. And they managed to overcome one of these demons in like a little village. And as that demon, like they're just about to kill that demon, the demon cries out for its mother. And Frieren, the main female elf, is like telling the humans, don't buy into it, because it's just doing that in order to manipulate you into sparing it. But the humans don't listen, so they spare the demon. And the demon ends up killing a bunch of kids and whatever else, demons do. And then when they corner it and finally kill it, as it's dying, they ask, why did you call out for your mother? And the demon said, because when I say those words, you don't kill us. Right? That's feminism. when feminism says things, but without us, men would subjugate women without us. That is the demon crying out for its mother so it won't kill you. So don't listen, because it's absolute, unsupported nonsense. Not nonsense, pernicious lying. That's better. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'll play a little bit more of this opening.
Or is there a conservative feminism that can correct liberalism's mistakes? My guests this week are both conservative writers, both critics of feminism, both women who have very different views of what a right-wing politics of gender should look like. So Helen Andrews, Leah.
All right, I'm pausing it there. That's just them setting the stage. I despise this framing, but whatever. So they get into an argument about 3 minutes in. I could get to that. Helen Andrews critiques wokeness as a feminized pathology. So let's go to that bit right there.
So I think that there are some generalizations that can be made about tendencies that are male or female, masculine virtues and vices, and feminine virtues and vices. But those things are always a spectrum, and it's hard to get a grip on them. And if I sat here and said women tend to be more emotional while men tend to be more intellectual, you could have 5 perfectly valid objections to that right off the bat. So I think I will restrict myself to the judgment on which I am confident, which is that the pathology in our institutions known as wokeness is distinctively feminine and feminized.
Okay, we can't do too long, and yes.
I know, she talks a little bit slow. I could speed it up in terms of the playback.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I'll speed up the playback speed to like 1.25.
Great, that's great. All right, so yes, pathology is woke. That's where it came from. There is consistently this desire to censor based on tone or social comfort consistently comes from women. It's very difficult to argue otherwise since the statistical evidence is there.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's 100% right. She's very, very careful. Very
well.
careful.
I think she knows, like, she's got experience with this, right? So she's trying to be. But I also think that, like, people like this, I can tell because I'm like this too. They hate being misrepresented. And so, it's like, this is what I said, and I'm very particular and I'm very specific with my words. So if you imply that I said something I didn't say, if you do like a, Kathy Newman on me and say, so you're saying, then I'm going to call you on it because I'm being very careful. And this is like this is where we are now, where we can't just speak and then people in good faith are like, okay, let's dig a little deeper and figure out where you're coming from. Oh, I understand where you are now. Okay, so here's where I am. Let's move forward from here. No, it's like, no, actually, I think you said this, and it's like the least charitable interpretation possible. And so you just can't deal with that.
No, so. It's trying to establish tribal lines instead of recognizing that people with different opinions can be beneficial. They can challenge and sharpen your beliefs. They may also have a point, and okay, she's a little bit clingy right now because she really wants her kibble, and we're not feeding her the kibble out of fear that the kibble is causing an allergic reaction, which is causing, the scratching, which she is scratching a lot, and it's leaving like injuries. So that's what's going on with her. I don't think she's suffering. We took her to the vet. We found out that it might be an allergic reaction. It might be mites. It might be some other thing that will probably require like $3,000 to fix. I'm exaggerating. I'm really hoping it's just, the allergies or the mites. But yeah, that's where she's at. She's a little bit pesty. I put her in the other room for a bit so we could actually talk and we could start the show. She might come back and pest some more.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Well, I
just
got
in case you
some.
guys are
I got
wondering
some.
about my behavior towards her.
All right.
Which
No, it's okay.
I
It's
think
okay.
it's
I
fairly
got some
controlled.
things to read out from the audience. NovaFan21 gave us $1 and on Rumble. Thank you, NovaFan, and says the only time women hold each other accountable is feminists punishing female resistance to the sisterhood. Yes.
Mhm.
Then that's the only thing. Like that's the only thing that they're guilty of. So, and then Senior Sticks says for $2, feminism didn't ruin workplaces, but it didn't help. Again, Helen Andrews isn't claiming that it ruined the workplace. She's saying that it is a problem, and I think it's
Mhm.
right. I think that she specifically points to HR departments as one of the primary problems, and that if there was a way to tamp that back, at least in terms of like their influence. Like if you went to HR and the only thing you were going to them for were things like, you know, like holiday hours, overtime, 401k, retirement, like this sort of like your health insurance, like whatever, then that's one thing. And they do all those things and those are fine. But they're also involved with things like lawsuits and discrimination and like these other things that are a lot more, I don't know, hard to pin down. They're not as objective, they're not as straightforward, and a lot of people exploit that stuff, and HR itself gets involved in ways that it probably shouldn't. So
Mhm.
that's just one thing, right? So yeah. Anyway, so let's keep going.
And that in a very literal sense, our institutions have gone woke because there are more women in them than there used to be.
What is the nature, the essential nature of wokeness that you associate with a certain kind of feminized politics or feminized ways of relating to other people?
You associate?
Coworkers or anything?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, that look is 100%. That would be the look I would be giving. I associate? Do you mean what is suggested by the science, sir?
Yeah.
You're not getting
Yeah.
kibble. You're not going to die if you don't get kibble. Like I might locate a can of food for her, but do you mind if you just keep playing and responding, and I will locate the
All
can
right,
of
go
food
ahead.
for her?
What you gotta do?
Anything else?
Let's pick one flavor of wokeness, and that is the Me Too movement. It was not just an increase in the volume of sex scandals. There have been sex scandals since the dawn of politics, and it was not just that there were more of them than there used to be. If it were simply a matter of more women having the self-confidence to speak up and challenge their accusers, I don't think anyone could possibly object to that. But that's not what the Me Too movement was. The Me Too movement was a change in the rules of how sex scandals work. There was a change in what kinds of behavior were held up for censure, and you had people like comedian Aziz Ansari being canceled for what was, at the end of the day, just a bad date, and he was guilty of not much more than severe awkwardness.
All right. So this Me Too is like an example that she's using. So this isn't about that. She's using, and it's a good example to give because, well, she's making it pretty clear. It's basically like it didn't challenge sexual impropriety in the workplace or in politics or whatever. It changed the rules of engagement between men and women. It permanently damaged the way that men and women relate to each other. Like at least like it seems permanent, right? And she uses the Aziz Ansari thing as an example where, he had a bad date with a woman and he got canceled for it, and he's disappeared from public life as far as I can tell. So
Okay, can I just get in there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Me Too, and this is something I said a while back, and I think you remember, feminism stabs you, and that the last time feminism stabs you is, that's okay, but feminism gets no more stabs, and then feminism stabs someone again, and you're like, oh no, okay, well, just no more stabs. Well, we'll accept that, but no more. That's how they keep operating. No, Me Too did nothing good. Nothing. If it was ever going to do anything good, it would have done something for the multitude of men who are suffering in silence due to the sexual harassment and sexual violence of women. Because they're out there not reporting, and they continue not to report. So all this did was empower women to do something they were already empowered to do, but now do it 10 times harder with no oversight. At some point, you gotta say, no, when feminism stabs someone, that is wrong. They don't just get another stab and then you're like, oh, well, okay, but stop there. Stop at Me Too. Stop at the slut walks. Stop at Susan Brown Miller saying that Emmett Till was complicit with the sexual violence of all women. Right? Maybe stop. No, all of it is bad. None of it is a solution to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was a solution, then it would be solving the problem for male victims too. Think about that. If Me Too had been a solution, it would have been solving the problems for male victims too. Did it? No. Okay,
Nope.
continue.
All right.
It suddenly became mandatory for us to believe all women, no matter how credible or not credible their testimony might be. It got to the point where to even probe a woman's story with various questions about the facts of the case became an affront and disrespectful to women. So that, to me, is the essence of wokeness that you see in all of its other variations on campuses or in the workplace.
Yep.
Shutting down conversations, intruding politics to spheres that had previously been neutral, sort of importantly neutral. Pillars of civilization neutrality, things like the rule of law, were suddenly subject to...
Okay, my dear, that wasn't Me Too. Feminism absolutely raped academic neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, feminism raped it, and then did a victory lap, raped it again, did another victory lap, told everybody that the fact they had to rape academia in the first place was actually oppression of women, did another victory lap, raped it again. Basically feminism utterly destroyed academic ethics, academia's claim to consistently applied ethics and principles. Right.
Agreed.
And yes, like that what you were saying, new sectors, they're all, no, that it started in academia, and then it built up a fortress of bullshit around itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So here's it's not really her response, but her take on this sort of opening discussion about feminization. So her name is Leah. I don't remember her other name, but her name is Leah something.
You can see this in a variety of ways, something pretty small scale. There's a lot of going back and forth on the college level about where the three-point line should be for men and women's basketball. Should it be equivalently hard for a man and woman to hit the shot? Or should it be at exactly the same spot so no one can say that women aren't playing as hard? I don't actually care that much about basketball, I'll level with you. But I think that anxiety that to draw two lines on the court would in some way imperil women's dignity is wrongheaded. And you see it to have a real cost in other domains where that attempt to treat women like defective men who are nearly identical, nearly swappable, and when we can close...
What?
Why are we okay? What's the payoff here?
Let's see.
That gap, no one will be able to tell us we're less than, ultimately does a fundamental injustice to women, and it results in violence towards babies. Because, of course, pregnancy is the most obvious way women differ from men. It won't ever be fully closed.
And a big part of your argument is that the institutions of American life or Western life since the feminist revolution have basically said to women, yes, you can join up, you can have the jobs you want, you can have the equality you want, but we will not accommodate ourselves to what you just defined as the greatest female distinctive, right? So
yeah.
Yes, jobs will not accommodate what is accommodated by a house. Okay? When you go to your house, you do things that you do in a house, like raising your children. When you go to the workplace, you do things that you do in a workplace, like working. Okay? Like, what the hell? This is So what this discussion is now about how to balance workplace for well, I can tell you right now, based on what I've researched, if we want to actually stride confidently into the future as a species that's self-aware and as an actual chance of getting off of its globe, its planet of birth, then probably what we're going to have to do is encourage women to stay at home. And or specifically very educated women, and educate their children and spend their time doing that, because that will overall increase the intelligence quotient of the human race. We can also do that with men. In fact, the very best situation would be to encourage both men and women to stay at home, highly educated or very intelligent men and women to stay at home and raise their kids, to raise the collective IQ. No eugenics required. But here's the problem. And he softens it too. Feminism didn't just say, oh, you're going to have the choice. Feminism was pretty clear that it didn't want women to have the choice not to go into the workplace.
Yeah.
And that's what they aimed for. Well, okay, let
me give you a little bit. I'm not going to play it, but this guy, the setup, the context of that comment she made. So remember, guys, this is the New York Times. They are already a feminist organization. The host is feminist, the guy. The woman on the right is feminist too, even though she calls herself like a conservative feminist, whatever that means. That doesn't matter. She's a feminist. There's no, like, it's basically like feminists from 20 years ago or maybe 30 years ago, if I'm really charitable. And Helen Andrews doesn't really state a position on that. Like, no one's asked her, are you a feminist? But she doesn't sound like it's of interest to her. So, like, she's not worried about losing her rights or her job or anything like that. She's definitely on the spectrum, and I kind of like her for that. But that's just me. But that's the woman on the left is Helen, the woman, the Spurg I was talking about. But okay, so I
was promised female flaws. Where are they?
Well, we're getting to that. So the guy says to her before she answers, he says, I want to start, Leah, with a fairly direct question about you, because you are identifying yourself in your book as a particular kind of feminist. And I want to ask you what is wrong with existing feminism, liberal feminism, and how it has failed women. So I think the essential problem is that there is a strain of feminism that sees any difference between men and women as a threat to our equality. So this is like I'm mentioning this context because it's the foundation under which these ideas are coming from for these two people, for the man in the center and the woman on the right, which is that there has to be a feminism and there has to be equality, like whatever. And of course, what equality means is their version of equality, which is just like, are women taken care of? Like, that's basically what it means. It doesn't matter what men, doesn't matter. It's what are women taken care of? Okay. Right. It's assumed that men's position is fine. And that's why she goes into the thing about the basketball courts. So I'm going to jump ahead to where it gets a little bit more, I guess, contentious. 1302. This is a disagreement about whether, or like, if this feminization wokeness is explicitly feminine or not.
Problem with wokeness?
No, I don't think so. I think America is a country of repeated religious revival, and this was one of them. It swept up both men and women and came out of a fundamental sense of, what's wrong with us, right? The fundamental question people are always asking, what's wrong with us and what can we do about it? I think wokeness was deeply interested in questions about guilt, but had kind of thin answers for how guilt.
I want to tell you where wokeness actually came from, right? And it was right in the first Medium article that we looked at. Did you notice how she used advocacy for all of the monolithic
race, capitalism,
to justify
queerness, whatever.
How women weren't to blame, right?
Yes.
She used them to render women blameless. So women can't possibly be as bad as men or have problems or bring flaws to the workplace, because women protected the minorities. That's where woke came from. It's just more of this.
Woke is
Of-
it's just feminism. It's just like another brand of it, though. Like I think that this kind of intersectional progressive set of beliefs are very old. They just have a new name. They're
Mm.
not new though. Like you can look at the 60s when you had like Weather Underground and the womanism, which was like I think it was womanism, which was like black feminism, but that was just intersectional feminism and then queer feminism was a thing back then. And like you had all the queer theorists like the Judith Butlers and stuff. So this isn't new. It's just like resurged in the mainstream because of things like Me Too and BLM and such. But it's not a new idea. And of course, it's headed up by women. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Allison. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. We're not a gaggle of Canucks. Brian is American. Special chat popped in. Okay,
Okay.
let's keep going.
All right. Let's go.
But I see this as less of a significant deviation from other parts of American history.
Let me ask you, though, about wokeness in particular.
So that's I don't have to take responsibility for that because I've identified it. Yeah, but even if it is a religious resurgence, it's deeply tied to women and feminism. So she's basically saying, so this one woman is saying that's a flaw. Well, women bring wokeism into she's saying, no, it's a flaw of religion and also religious men and women, but mostly religious men. So it's a flaw of Christianity. And by Christianity, I mean white men who are conservative. So it's a flaw of you see, wokeness is actually, by transitive property, is actually a flaw of Republican white men or any kind of conservative men. Do you see this now? Do you see how that works, my dears? Do you see?
Yeah.
All conservatives need to take responsibility for pushing wokeness on the world. That's the most. Does anybody just stop women like this and say, okay, no.
You're right.
Quiet, woman.
A quiet woman.
Of your own argument. You write, a society that cannot imagine placing the weak at its center, that forgets that society exists for the weak, will be drawn toward the Manichaean modes of cancel culture, right?
Hmm?
It will be drawn to cancel culture? Oh, so she's basically saying, okay, so if you don't put the weak at the center of, okay, but that's not what a business is for. Like in a business, you aren't given stuff because you're weak. You're expected to do stuff using your strengths. No, and the thing is that the problem with this rhetoric is when women say, oh, we need to put women or weakness at the center, they mean they need to put it everywhere. I mean, it's like we need to put spent nuclear fuel rods in the set. No, we're just going to put them in everybody's pocket and their luggage. We're going to hand them out at like cafeterias and schools. It's just going to get everywhere. She doesn't mean that weakness needs to be safely contained where it can be tended to without interrupting all of the other functions of society. She means it should be everywhere. Just throw those nuclear fuel rods and parades to kids. You just everywhere. Just everywhere. Just let them roll down the streets, in the sewers, in people's lunch pails, like everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So you're looking at the same phenomenon that Helen is looking at, and you're saying, well, there's not enough respect for dependence and weakness. Don't you think that wokeness, whether it is a sort of feminized phenomenon,
there is not enough respect for dependence and weakness?
Yeah. Let's let her get to her argument.
Certainly, in its own self-conception, a mode of trying to get people to care about the weak.
I think this is where we couple that first, an orientation towards the weak, a preferential option towards the poor, with truth-seeking, right? They do go together. The weakness of a baby is pretty incontrovertible. The moral status of a baby is where people start to have a philosophical fight. I see a lot of the kind of frenzy of wokeness around people of a sense of, could it be true that in a meaningful sense, I'm complicit in systems of evil? This zeal for moral concern, that's good.
Okay, this is funny coming from a avatar of possibly the most evil act. One of the most evil freaking acts. Like, no, you don't get to lecture or even conceptualize on this issue, lady, until you purge yourself of sins and you purge your freaking ideological position of the unbelievable level of deceit that you engaged in. Like, I can't emphasize this enough, guys. Feminism colonized academia, forced it to submit to denying its own stated principles, transparency, empiricism, and all of the empirical rigor, all of its stated principles. Feminism made academia its bitch and then turned it into like a virus infecting a cell, turned it into a factory for its own lies, for justifying and presenting or creating evidence for its own lies, for its own premises, which were never subject to any kind of neutral scrutiny to prove if they were true or not. She is sitting on the biggest ethical scandal in academia, and she's beaking off about being, everybody else has to think about, am I part of a system of evil? Well, you start with you. You start with addressing that. Of course, she's never going to hear me. Nobody's ever going to tell her, if you're going to call yourself feminist, why don't you address that absolute violation of humanity? Like this this behavior by feminists is in the same category as Soviet control, like Stalinist Soviet control over academia, Nazi control over academia,
Not by accident.
ideological capture of academia, absolute violation of academia. And she has the audacity to sit there and pontificate about being complicit in systems of evil, which incidentally, she bases on that ideological capture of academia, manufacturing evidence. And I mean manufacturing, because it's not actually creating evidence that is proven. It's just manufactured evidence for an already chosen premise. And then she uses all of that to cast shade on everyone else. Oh, are you No! Absolutely nobody is complicit in a system of evil except you and all of the corporate bullshit and government bullshit that you are enabling. Everybody else is just trying to do their fucking job and pay for their fucking family and make sure their cat doesn't die of some weird fucking disease. You're the one who's sitting there and opining on the back of an absolutely ravaged academic integrity. You're just sitting there like she's freaking Crow on her freaking mound of skulls saying everybody else is, we got to think about what you did. You're complicit with systems of death on her fucking mound of skulls, drinking from a skull. You guys, you need to realize, all of you people, you need to realize you're part of an evil system. Glug, 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 as she drinks from her skull fucking mug. Like, this is infuriating.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm slightly infuriated by this.
it's all right. Okay. So, okay, let's keep going, I think.
Put things right in a situation where I'm constantly entangled with at least partial cooperation with evil? That's a good question. How do you put it right is not primarily through self-flagellation. It's through active doing good.
What about
No,
the
it's
aspect
through,
of wokeness that
it's
says
through telling women like this to go away and shut up. Right? I can't emphasize this enough.
Yeah.
She is lying about society. Feminism has been lying about society since the 60s. And in order to buttress those lies, they have been discriminating against men in some of the most vulnerable situations: homelessness, sexual assault, domestic violence, right? False accusation, fathers losing custody. They have been discriminating against these men. She talks about, oh, we should protect the vulnerable. How about we spend a moment to think about the situation of those people who we never regard as vulnerable? No, she's not going to do that. And these are her victims. as she opines about how everyone else, and she has the sacred knowledge, you see. She has the sacred knowledge of who is moral and who is complicit in the system of evil. And her sacred knowledge is really, really true. Except it isn't. It's all lies. And she looks like she's really nice, right? She seems like friendly and she's the perfect avatar for this evil fucking, and I when I say evil, I got the receipts. This isn't just some vague, oh, you have patriarchal privilege or your ability to be on time is whiteism. This is verifiable receipts of how feminism co-opted academia to push a narrative that destroys societies, that destroys men, that destroys women, that destroys families. And why? For its own benefit, of course. That is true evil. That's true evil, is to believe that your benefit is something that is more important than anything else in society. And that is what she is a mouthpiece for. Everything should be sacrificed for the altar of feminism, whatever you call it, conservative feminism, liberal feminism. Everything needs to be sacrificed for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, we are going to give special attention to people who are disadvantaged, who are sort of represent a tradition of suffering or disadvantage, who come from disadvantaged minorities or the disadvantaged sex or gender, as the case may be, right? And essentially give them a special leg up, special deference in debate. And that's the place where Helen immediately says, "This is you've lost truth seeking, and maybe you've become too feminized." But what
I wouldn't say deference in debate. I would say
So okay, so yeah.
Well, I see that she's lost
by the way,
interest.
the guy, the moderator is. I don't know if this is a debate per se, but they definitely have disagreements. The guy in the middle is definitely like on the woman on the right side.
Mhm.
And he's trying to, basically like give her like I don't know, nudging or whatever. So,
I
but
see
anyway,
that Helen Andrews is lost interest a little.
yeah.
She's looking at the wall stuff.
Well,
That is,
the frames are whatever. They're a little awkward because they're not quite the same
yeah,
size.
I didn't, oh
So
yeah, you're
it's
right. I
bothering
didn't
me.
even notice that. She's
Yeah.
probably noticing it. To
Yeah,
be honest,
that would
the
drive me up
frame
the
size
wall.
is probably more interesting than what these two pogs are doing over there justifying. And you know why? You know why they do this? Money, money, money. It's
Mhm.
so funny in a feminist world. Money, money,
Well,
money.
because if
That's
they
why they
couldn't
do
do
it.
this, they'd have to get real jobs.
Yeah. Because somehow advocating for the vulnerable always means giving a really, really big salary to some wealthy socialite from New York. You just
Mhm.
but that somehow it's just it's just the way it works. It's just natural law, I guess. Okay.
All right.
attentiveness to what kind of policies are appropriate. And here's where I draw a big distinction between two attempts to do a special justice to the most disadvantaged students, one of which went very badly and one of which is going very well. The idea of we don't have enough students of color in our algebra classes at middle school.
Okay, all right,
This
all right.
disparate impact.
I'm
Yeah,
calling
we can
it
jump
now.
another time.
Let's
So
get
she's
to
just
actual
all right. Hold
discussion of
on.
the topic, not caping for feminism. Because I'm pretty sure that what her presentation is that women should be in the workplace because they
I'm just
defend.
gonna jump ahead to a juicy bit. So
Okay, but can I just am I characterizing this correctly? Is her conclusion is that women should be in the workplace because they make sure that the marginalized have a voice or something?
I think that she's saying that Helen Andrews' essay has some merits, but that she is too mean to women in it. I think that's what it is. Like we should be focused on helping the disadvantaged. And of course, the assumption is women are disadvantaged because that's what the New York Times guy in the middle was saying. Well, women have it worse, right? All the time, forever. And she's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I guess they do. So maybe we should be a little bit like, more charitable to them. And Helen is like, that doesn't fit I know that's not right. This is the problem. They're not that weak. They do cause problems. They do have
Yeah.
toxicity. So I'm gonna go to the bit
Yeah,
where
but what I was gonna say is this.
yeah.
You notice how this rhetoric of weakness always seems to land on either caping for white liberal women like this or feminist women, or making sure that they are the primary recipients of DEI and other beanies. Like this is what they do. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna jump ahead to let's see. Tension around female virtues and vices. So 4902. It's kind of far ahead, but we've been going for like 2 hours, and I think you got the gist of the other thing. So
Some sense, though. And female vices are about gossiping, backbiting, irrationality, ostracism. I never got a sense of whether there were female virtues at all from your piece. Genuinely. And that's why I'm asking.
She's not even comprehensive with it.
should I go back a bit more? Do you want to like
Censorship is a female vice.
yeah,
manipulate-
censorship, canceling, people losing their like Helen Andrews goes into it in her piece.
Maybe we should read it. Read the piece
I
itself.
sent it to you like
you
a
did?
while ago. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, wonder why I didn't read it.
Called
Probably
The Great Feminization.
Okay.
I sent it to you like a week or 2 weeks ago. So, by Helen Andrews on Substack, and everyone's talking about it.
Oh,
And
there
that's
are
why I
other
sent it to you.
vices.
So,
Yeah.
well, the thing
I'll
is,
go find it.
the piece wasn't about. It wasn't supposed to be like, here's what men do well and that are good about them. Here's what's not good about them, and here's what's good about women, and here's what's not so good about women. That wasn't what it was about. It was saying our entire workplace, political, and like every institution is becoming feminized, and there are problems with it that no one seems to want to address. So I'm going to try to bring them up and talk about them.
Myopia and risk aversion are the two big problems that I see women have.
Yeah.
And those are the two problems that is going to kill the publishing industry. Sorry, I said printing. I meant publishing.
Yeah.
Those are the two problems that are going to massively kill the publishing. And I can actually discuss that because I think it's relevant to the issue of virtues and vices. Just going through Coral, it doesn't look like there's an extensive argument. So it looks like Lee Labresco pushes back somewhat on characterizing these behaviors as exclusively feminine, noting such issues occur in both men and women and are related to human difficulties. Okay, so basically, this woman is saying there are vices that women bring to the workplace that they are unaccounted for, and this other woman is saying no, those are just human ills. There's no vice.
She's like, couldn't these just be human problems? But I mean, sure, but like, again, the problem is not that they exist, or even that people pointed out. The problem is the response to them is not the same. If men have like, I think that at one point they get into a thing where Helen Andrews says that, there might be like a centerfold image in like a men's workspace, like in the back somewhere, that no one else but the men can see it. And she's like, yeah, it's a bit gauche or whatever, but it's not like a big deal, and this woman is like, well, that's not appropriate. Like that shouldn't be there. Right. So like there's a different, and so what she's saying is, whether she knows it or not, that should be canceled. And that is like, unacceptable. But that, like, if men are like, like Lindsay, where she works, she's the only woman in the department, and she's like a meat cutter. She works with a bunch of meat cutters, and these are all like, big, like hairy Southern guys. They all curse. Well, they're not that big. One guy's big. The rest are all little guys. But like, they're all foul mouthed, and they say like they make racist and sexist jokes all the time. And Lindsay finds it refreshing. She's like, wow, this is like so much fun to be around. But they know they can't do that anywhere else because like it's specifically the meat department is male dominated. The other sections like produce and the deli and like the wellness area, that's all women, right? So it's a completely different vibe. And Lindsay doesn't want anything to do with it. But like there's nothing like that's like so that people who go to work, like they can like take a little bit of their I don't know, home with them. And men in particular, they like that. They don't want to go to work and be worried about what they say. They
Mhm.
just want to focus on their job.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and these guys do, and they just have little fun while they're at it,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, that's complete. And yet they're policed. And
yeah.
that's not seen as innocuous because, and this is the big thing that is the big problem with women in the workplace. It's women's feelings and subjectivity that become the standard that everybody else has to live by. Is that fair? No,
Mhm.
no. Men are too used to just abiding by it. I'm glad that this woman is calling that out. I don't know if she does call that out specifically. I just find it hilarious that these two pogs are talking to each other and she's looking up at the wall like, wow, this isn't relevant to my interests. Your
Yeah.
entire conversation is pointless and stupid.
But anyway, so I think her name is Leah. She's trying to get Helen to answer the question, why didn't I see any female virtues in your piece? Why were none of my virtues on your list, as the quote from Gladiator goes?
I got a sense of balance for the men, but not for the women.
I saw that you made that criticism elsewhere.
It's a question. It's only a criticism depending on your answer.
Shut up!
If you want to know what I like about women,
That's not my
you can
question.
ask me. In fact,
Shut up!
Take a question from me and
Like, seriously.
No,
on the
What
subject.
a bitch.
What are you talking about, Allison? She's saying it with a smile on her face.
No, look at the actual body language.
I know
You know
how
what
women
this
are when they're
means? You know what this means? It means contempt.
big.
It means contempt. What?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
means fucking contempt. She is expressing overt contempt to this woman. It's like, and her body language is extremely aggressive. Right? That is like, she is being a bully. Contempt. And ironically, the woman on like Helen is still demonstrating the posture of equality. Right? She's looking at her square on. She doesn't have her jaw tilted up like she's the moral authority. She's the one on top. And that you have to kiss the ring, right? She's not doing that. She's looking straight ahead. I mean, probably part of it is autism. She doesn't have that kind of shoulders forward. She's just sitting neutrally, right? This woman is projecting a lot of energy at her, and she's probably used to getting people to submit to her in other contexts, but Helen is probably too autistic to pick it up. And I know this makes people uncomfortable because it's an analysis of body language and facial expression. But that's what she's projecting. She's projecting attempted moral dominance and contempt.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
That
right.
would be a very uncomfortable room to be in.
It's a question. It's only a criticism depending on your answer.
Shut up.
If you want to know what I like about women,
That's not my
you can
question.
ask me. In fact, I
What do
invite
you
you to
like- what do you-
commission from me an entire essay
No, wait,
on
wait.
the subject what I like about
What do
women.
you
My
like
freelance
about-
rates are very reasonable.
What do you like about women, Helen?
Well, just to finish that particular thought before I answer that question, it's a little bit feminine, honestly, to focus on my likes and dislikes.
I'm not asking about your likes or
I
dislikes.
Don't
I don't
write
care.
about myself.
I'm
I
not
write about
asking
the
about-
world.
Oh, you see, that was good though. She said,
Yes.
what you're doing right now is pretty feminine.
Well, of course it is.
So-
God damn,
you're
that guy's
saying-
really expressing some disgust towards Helen. Do you notice that?
Yeah. I
That's
thought
pretty
that was
powerful.
a good like counter.
Yeah, no,
right
it was a
there.
good counter. Yeah.
Yeah. Before I answer that question,
Derek Workman, look at the chin. It's up. That's not bad posture. She is moving forward. She's not slouched. That would be a completely different kind of posture. This is slouching, right? Leaning forward, shoulders curled, chin up. Very different kind of posture. Nope, that's disgust, not confusion. I know I'm talking to a bunch of autists who probably can't identify. No, I'm not saying that. No, that looks like, nope, it looks like disgust. I mean, it'd be slightly confusion because they're fairly similar emotions sometimes, or they look similar sometimes. But to me, that looks like disgust. And, I mean, you take it for what it is, but I do draw people's expressions in a storytelling context. So let's continue.
All right.
I am telling you that when I look at the world, I do not see any institutions that are currently suffering from an excess or insufficient feminization.
Helen, I don't care about your likes and dislikes because that's not what I found compelling about your portrait.
Okay, okay, then why were you kept asking her? Let's go back for a second. What were you asking her?
Yeah. So you asked her, like, what are some virtues, feminine virtues?
I am telling you that when I look at the world, I
No,
do
you
not
got to go back
see
further.
any
I'm pretty sure that she said, "What do you like about?" Okay, just a second.
And that's why I'm asking.
Diddly.
Condescension towards women in some sense, though. The one thing I really couldn't get purchase on from your essay is I got a very clear sense of masculine vice and masculine virtue. That masculine virtue is about risk taking, about embracing chances, brotherhood, fighting, making up, a comfort with turbulence, right? And masculine vices are about vulgarity, condescension towards women in some sense, though. And female vices are about gossiping, backbiting, irrationality, ostracism. I never got a sense of whether there were female virtues at all from your piece. Genuinely. And that's why I'm asking. I got a sense of balance for the men, but not for the women.
I saw that you made that criticism elsewhere.
It's a question. It's only a criticism depending on your answer.
If you want to know what I like about women,
that's not my
you can
question.
ask me. In fact,
wait.
what do you like? Commission from me an entire
What-
essay
no, wait,
on the subject. What I like about women. My freelance rates are very reasonable.
What do you like about women, Helen?
So the guy's the one that says, "What do you like
Yeah.
about women?" But
Well, but it's after she says, "What I like about women." I
Mhm.
think she means what I recognize as positive about women.
Yeah.
And like and honestly, the like and dislike argument is feminine. So she wanted her to identify virtues. And I would say that, why do you need to be flattered constantly? Like, for me,
I think that she's
being
trying to be
handled-
like, it sounds to me like you can't find any virtues in women in your piece. Like her piece should have had balance in it, but
Yeah.
Helen's piece, the objective was not balance. The objective was to identify a problem with
Mhm.
the feminization of workplaces, as well as the political sphere, and most importantly, what she talks about in her piece, the political and legal space, because she's saying that rule of law and due process and all these things that we need, like actual objective and, dare I say, masculine approaches to, are being feminized and they're being made subjective and postmodern, and
Mhm.
that's a problem. And so, like, it wasn't the appropriate context to be like, here are all the good things that women do. Like, that wasn't what the piece was about. That would be like me saying, I'm going to write an essay about grilled cheese sandwiches. And then you're like, you didn't say anything about tomato soup. Because that goes really well with the grilled cheese. But I didn't hear it once in your entire
It's
piece.
about making her emotions dictate what can be written about, basically.
Yeah.
Which is, as Helen says, it's very feminine. Okay, let's conclude this. I know it's getting a little.
Okay.
Well, just to finish that particular thought before I answer that question, it's a little bit feminine, honestly, to focus on my likes and dislikes.
I'm not asking about your likes.
When she's telling this guy that about the,
Yeah,
that's why he's
yeah.
probably got a disgust expression. That's probably why, because she's telling him you're being feminine. So
It's
anyway.
also feminine to focus on flattery when we're talking brass tacks here.
Yeah.
It's like, learn to live without being flattered, lady.
About myself.
Also, here's the other thing. What worth is it to say that women have all these benefits? Like, are women are all good in all of these ways? Who cares?
I guess like they think that if a person does a bunch of like flattery before they start. If they make their land acknowledgments, then
Yes.
maybe their criticisms will be worth it. Like they're worth listening to. They make them
Yeah,
more
but they
true.
won't listen to them anyway. They just want the
No.
land acknowledgement. But here's the thing, like when you are told drawbacks or vices that women have, you can endeavor as an individual to overcome them. Right? That means that it frames your moral agency as an individual. Okay? Isn't that more important than being told that you have these things just by virtue of existing? Like, I mean, I know I say that men have virtues, but they never get told that ever, right? And in a lot of cases, what happens is society will insist that men don't have those virtues that it relies on in order to make men give up those virtues for nothing. And I'm calling that kind of thing out. But here it's like, why wouldn't you prefer the vices? Why wouldn't you prefer the discussion about the vices? Because that puts the emphasis back on you and your individual choices. Like, I don't give a crap about all of the beanies, like the goodie bag that apparently I get as a woman. And it's not like privilege. It's just all the cool, all of the things that I make the world better, even though I do nothing to earn it. Like, this is the big problem. Was one of them. I mean, I've had a lot of big problems. Why are women so obsessed with flattery when that flattery is meaningless? Like if somebody says, "Oh, women are beautiful," that's meaningless, right? If she says, "Oh, all women are compassionate," it's also meaningless because often it becomes an excuse not to be. Okay, let's
All
I
right,
guess
I'm almost done here.
Yes, I'll be quiet.
All right.
And I am telling you that when I look at the world, I do not see any institutions that are currently suffering from an excess or insufficient feminization.
Helen, I don't care about your likes and dislikes because that's not what I found compelling about your portrait of risk, which we both value as a genuine virtue, not a matter of preference like chocolate or vanilla.
So
Do you think there are objective virtues for women in the same way you think there are objective primatology-based vices for women?
Why
It
is
seems
this
to me, just as a
necessary?
reader of the essay, I felt like I was actually clear on what Helen thought female virtues were. I was less sure how those
Oh, she's
virtues
actually-
manifest themselves in
He
public
actually
institutions.
stood up for her. They don't really. Like, that's the honest to God truth.
Yeah, maybe like well, I don't know that I don't know that her essay specifically talks about that, but it's
And the
irrelevant. So.
professions. So it seemed to me that Helen, this is a point of agreement between the two of you, that women, for biological reasons, are oriented towards forms of care and love and sort of communitarian spirit that men are maybe not as good at. I was interested in, well, what do those female virtues bring to a newspaper or a corporation, right? Or are they virtues that, and again, this would be the trad, right? A trad view would be, yeah, women have virtues and they're best exercised in the home.
To say a word to Leah first, you've written several books, and I'm sure you've read reviews of those books. Hopefully, as fellow authors, we can agree that it is unfair when book reviewers criticize you for not writing the book they would have written. So it's possible that I didn't write the essay you would have written.
I just
and
want
it was
to know
missing
now.
information that was curious to you, but I didn't.
Oh, right?
That's
Sorry.
fair. That's really fucking fair. And
Oof.
the thing is that there was some passive aggressive from this woman too when she said, "I don't care about your likes and dislikes."
Yeah, I know.
That's-
She was just giving it back to her. It's fine.
She's
Look,
just
that-
giving it back to her. No,
didn't think
we
that
should
was
do
a
like
good idea to take
we should do you remember when in maintaining frame we used to judge people's performance based on like threat narrativing. You remember that? We give people like scores. That's
yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
Well,
It was a while
she's
ago, I think.
like Lee is framing Helen as being a threat to women this way
Mhm.
because she doesn't like women, and that makes her a threat to women. Right? She's not willing to flatter women. That makes her a threat to women. And I guess Lee is trying to undermine that threat narrative by simply saying, "You are trying to force me to write what you want." So she's emphasizing Lee's agency and also her bad intent, or at least her desire for dominance. So you're right. This is a cat fight, and it's interesting. Who will win in the end? Who will reign catty supreme?
Yeah, I think this is almost over, but let's go.
Yes,
Okay.
on its own terms.
I'm asking you as a thinker I respect, about what virtues you see in women.
Now she's
they're
trying to
very clear.
manipulate through flattery.
Yeah,
That's interesting. That was an interesting. Let's see if Helen
that was some Tai
gets sucked
Chi
in.
shit.
Yeah, let's see if
Okay.
Helen gets sucked in.
To Ross, because I think the answer he just gave about care was pretty close to the mark.
Well, then
But-
let me take the moderator's prerogative and say, again, repeat my question. How, because, and I will elaborate it on it further, and then you can answer. It seems to me we can take for granted that many workplaces in the future will be mixed between men and women. That this is sort of a fundamental feature of 21st century life. It is not
That's
going away.
that's a bold claim. Many workplaces in the future. That's optimistic, considering what's happening in AI and everything else. Like that's
Yeah.
really optimistic. If you were to say something like the workplace, like the publishing industry, yeah, that might not exist in the future. And hopefully the publishing industry implodes and dies before it takes an entire medium with it. So when you're saying that, oh yeah, well, there's going to be mixed workplaces in the future, there might be a very hard correction to that.
Yeah.
And there certainly will be if we can't hold women to account and we have to constantly flatter them. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
If you don't want those workplaces and those institutions dominated by female vices, what is the positive sum interaction between male virtues and female virtues that you would like to see at the Supreme Court or the New York Times or anywhere else?
I think that if you had asked me 10 years ago to guess what the effects of the feminization of the legal field would be, I probably would have given the same answer that a feminist would have given, the same answer you can find in Dahlia Lithwick's book about the feminization of the law, that it's going to be more accommodating of gray areas, it's going to be less doctrinaire, less hewing to the letters on the page, and more looking at, more attentive to context. And I think if you had asked...
Okay, stop for a second.
Out,
They fucking love this word context.
Hmm?
They love, like, feminist science loves this word context. Like feminists, there will be okay, so I have been having this discussions with Grok, which, bear with me, it's good for data analysis. And feminism there will be a particular type of projection based on feminist hypothesis. And when you test that projection rate relative to what actually happens, it will, of course, fail. And in fact, many cases, feminist theory or feminist hypothesis predicts the exact opposite of reality. But when it fails, feminists will say contextual factors make it fit. I just wanted to get that out. Okay. I love that word. It's like nuance.
You know what, that's maybe not necessarily such a terrible thing. Maybe we should be more oriented towards rehabilitation rather than punishment. Maybe the feminization of the law is not entirely without benefits. And I think it's possible that is accurate, that is a reflection of how the feminization of law has played out in practice. The reason why I am turning on a big red siren when it comes to the feminization of the law is that all of those things that sounded so nice in theory or in the abstract, in practice look like the Title IX kangaroo courts for sexual assault on college campuses. If that is what the feminization of the law looks like in practice, I think that's horrible. And if an increasingly feminized legal profession is going to take the problems of those Title IX courts and bring them into grown-up law, I think that is an emergency level danger that we all need to be really, really, really worried about.
Wow. That's actually pretty devastating.
What do you mean? Like in terms of this conversation, that was like an alt.
Yeah. Your eyes glowed and then
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what the pogs say.
Okay.
Should I call them pogs? Is that
So
offensive?
the positive side here is that you could imagine a dynamic interaction between a doctrinaire male sensibility and a female sensibility attuned to nuance and gray area.
Yeah, that's called a
in a
family.
kind of yin and yang model.
He's trying to do this complementarian thing. She literally, Helen said, literally, if you asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have agreed. But now that I see where we are, no, absolutely not. This is an emergency that we have to like address. And he's like, "Oh, so you're saying there is room for so you're saying there's a chance for equality." So he's like
Women are
literally misinterpreting, but yeah.
Women are nuking the legal system. So you're
Yeah.
saying there's still a possibility.
Yeah, so
of
you're saying
survival.
there's a chance.
Okay.
So anyway,
interacted successfully to correct the weaknesses of a purely doctrinaire vision of the law without sliding all the way into a motive-driven kangaroo court.
Guy
I'm just
likes the
putting
word
words in your mouth, but
doctrinaire
I'm looking
too
for the
much.
positive sum dynamic, because just as liberals and conservatives are stuck with each other in America, so too are men and women, right? So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and I think you can imagine the same kind of thing, to jump to another institution, in academia, right? Academia is extremely feminized today, and it's not a coincidence that college campuses are capitals of wokeness. So I think probably it's unlikely that college faculty are going to be de-feminized anytime soon. But I think we can achieve helpful compromise and the yin and yang dynamic that you describe by reinstituting certain guardrails to guard against female vices, strong statements of academic freedom.
so this is her. So he's like, so we could imagine a time where in the legal profession we could integrate men and women together and get a little bit of a yin yang thing. So he's trying to like essentially stop Helen Andrews from saying women should not be involved in the courts if it's going to result in Title IX kangaroo courts on college campuses, which I'm glad she brought up.
Yeah.
And then her counter to that is, oh yeah, I guess we could do that, but then we also want to do this in academia. It's like it's full of women, so why don't we put some men in there too? And why don't we tamp down on that? So like she wins no matter what. This is like a checkmate move, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Although I honestly, the female battling is more fun. Like when she talks to the man, it's all logic and reason to a degree. I mean, because he's still a man, right?
Yeah.
But then
yeah,
when
yeah.
she's talking to the woman, there's all this kind of like low key, like psychic battling going on. You know, not low
Yeah.
key, but it's just like there's a lot more conflict, shall we say? All right, let's go.
All right.
We can start there if we're thinking of concrete steps we can take tomorrow to make sure that men and women on university faculty are able to work together more productively.
I still haven't heard a full account of female virtue. I heard you voice it.
Okay, why are you bringing that up again? She already told you she's not doing it.
She needs flattery.
She's not going to be your bitch.
Well, let's see.
I'll be honest, I don't think in terms of primarily feminine and masculine virtues as a kind of fractional complementarity. All men
yes,
and
you
women
do.
are called to faith, hope, and charity. They're all called to fortitude. The particular kind of fortitude asked of a man or a woman may change based on their state in life. But I would have trouble raising my two daughters and my son to know how to be good versus how to reduce their harm, working solely from this definition of what it means to be a man or a woman.
One of the larger stories of our
What this is this definition which she blames on her. Okay. How to be good and not to be, well, generally being good is avoiding being bad, doing bad. Like or to embrace good. Like, and you need to know bad in order to know what is good. Like it's really weird because she's essentially in order to be able to teach your children how to be good, you have to teach them what is bad. And from that, you can infer what is good. So I don't even know why she would say that except to, again, cast shade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
our world is, we've referenced it a couple times, but we're in a society where men and women are not interacting successfully, I think.
Oh,
the
you
genders are more
think?
politically polarized, and at any point in modern history, possibly related to that is the declining marriage and birth rates all across the developed world.
Possibly related to that,
Going
huh?
too far, but there is some failure for the sexes to come together.
I like this is how you know we're winning, because the people who are the least interested in talking about this are talking about this. There's nothing else they can do. They
Well,
have to.
we're
So they
not
dance
winning.
around and like, well, I guess things are really bad right now between men and women, and like maybe there's some other downstream related, it's speculative at this point, but like the fact that nobody's having kids or getting married and everyone's lonely as fuck, that might be related to it. I don't know. I want to blame the GDP and the economy personally, that's what I think it is. But like some people think that men and women coming together has something to do with it. I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's how like it's getting to the point where
It's unavoidable.
progressive outlets like the New York Times can't ignore it.
Yeah,
They have to
yeah.
like at least say, well, give it lip service,
Yeah. Although I think it's not us, it's the chasm. It's the pain that's doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cuz I think and what's really going to be interesting is when the elites finally put 2 and 2 together and realize they're not going to be ruling over much if there's no healthy society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to be top dog. You're going to be top dog of a radioactive mud pit, guys. Like a smoking crater where once a prosperous civilization that could actually build you gold toilets once stood. Congratulations, you're going to be the only man with the goat and 2 acres of mud to they're billionaires. So yeah, I think that'll be when it probably really turns. But yes, they're facing the pain, and then they're searching for solutions and explanations. And she's got a fairly good one, feminine vices. She needs to take a
Yep.
step back and see where those vices started and started to penetrate everything. Okay.
All right.
So two questions that are maybe nested together. In each of your visions of sort of workplaces and cultures transformed, do you think that the modern workplace can help men and women interact more successfully, right? Or is
Oh, well, this is it sped up. I'm sorry. This guy's really working hard to like not piss these women off, I guess. I don't know. Like what
I don't know
he's
if
very
he cares. He cares about, I don't think he cares about Helen. And Lee is trying really hard. Like she's definitely suppressing something, probably the desire to go and punch Helen or scratch her face or something.
Yeah.
No, but look at the blinking.
Yeah. No, I see it.
She doesn't even want to look at Helen directly.
there a way in which gender differences require maybe a little bit more separation in some spheres? Like, which
She can't even
is a
maintain
better
any
scenario?
freaking eye
Figuring
contact.
out the best way for men and women to work together at work, or
She
having
just told you.
more distinctively male and female workplaces, and then men and women sort of rejoin in the romantic or domestic sphere.
Okay,
How's that
I
for
think she
question?
just told you. Did she not just say you need to have guardrails? You need to specifically call out the bullshit that women bring, which is censorship, which is excessive myopia. They think that their social circle is the entirety of the audience for fiction in the US and Canada. Okay, sorry. That the myopia, the risk aversion, okay? The approaching a workplace as someplace where it makes you feel good rather than you do a job people feel is critical to get done, so they pay you for it, right? That kind of stuff. And she said, call it out. Put the guardrails back on. You don't behave like that in a workplace. And he's like, well, what do you really do? What he really, I'm guessing, okay, this is a little bit of inference, all right? That I could be completely wrong. I'm guessing what he wants is how do you kiss women's asses? Like, how does making the situation better for men and women? How do we do it by kissing women's asses? Like, what sequence of kisses unlocks the better workplace for men and women? You know, you got the ass right there. Where do you plant the kisses? That's what he's probably.
Mhm.
What buttons? Okay.
All right, let's play some more.
I don't really have an answer to that one. I think it is probably likely, just as a matter of prediction, that you will get more workplaces that are predominantly male or predominantly female in the future I envision, where there's no longer thumbs on the scale. Whether that will be good for men and women interacting, I don't really know. I don't think I have an opinion.
I have opinions. I don't think the workforce is the main way I see men and women coming apart, and it's not even with some movements in Helen or my directions the main place I see them coming together. I want to make a pitch, especially since we've talked a lot about women, good, bad, medium. I want to make a pitch for what's good about men here in particular, and where.
Oh, okay, interesting. It's an interesting pivot. All right.
Okay.
I'll give her that. I wonder if she's thinking that the fundamental substrate of the threat narrative has shifted. Oh, maybe this is another attempt to get flattery. Like, yeah, okay, if I tell what's good about men, then maybe I'll emotionally score some points and extort flattery. Does that make sense? Like, okay, well, obviously if I say that, then she will be compelled to match it. Maybe?
I don't know. Let's see.
Let's see how it plays out.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I said something nice about men. Now it's your turn. Say something nice about women.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's see.
Of men is particularly neglected, and how that could help men and women come back together. I think part of the appeal of the warrior band or of a marriage is either a group or pair of people taking on something too large for either to sustain by themselves and developing trust because they bear a responsibility they know their own strength cannot serve. As a married woman, I've loved my husband the whole time, but being pregnant meant depending on him in a way that was different than any other part of our marriage. And I think the later marriages and the rarer it is, the less often men who are on average, stronger, find a reason their strength is required. And I think the more that both in a community, starting with young men, there's a real sense of because you are larger and stronger, like we need something from you to make this whole community run. And that will continue through your marriage. The easier
That's a virtue?
men and women to come together. How on earth could we have 3 kids except that we trust each other and ebb and flow in strength and can do more than we can by ourselves?
How is this a virtue of men?
Sergeant.
Like that literally is a gender neutral virtue slanting towards women, because what she said is that a relationship requires trust in another's abilities. And she says, as a woman, that's asked of me more than it is of a man. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Where was the virtue for men?
Yeah, there wasn't really anything, was there?
No, it was just men serve women and women trust them in that service.
I guess the fact that women can trust them is a compliment in her eyes.
Yeah. I don't see anything really related to men being. I'd throw it to the comments. Do you see that? I mean, I guess the implication that women should trust men is nice, but that's a women's virtue. That is basically saying, women, you're called upon to do this, and if you do it, you're virtuous. Yeah. I guess maybe the implication is that men are trustworthy, therefore that's a virtue. But is she saying that men are uniquely trustworthy relative to women? That's not really clear.
I doubt that.
Okay. She tried, but I don't. Am I being uncharitable? Men, go in the comments. I feel like this was oversold as men's virtues. And also, again, this is irrelevant to the topic. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the video. So this is the video that the previous video of that was like the Medium blog was responding to. That obviously the Medium blog didn't address anything that was brought up. The full video, I put a link in the description, I'm pretty sure, and I do recommend it if you haven't seen it. But just look up any Helen Andrews thing on the Great Feminization. She's written on a bunch of other stuff too. But look it up and see. I think that I like what she's doing. I think that this is good, and I'm glad that she's doing it. And she even said, in part, she's only doing it because she she knows many male colleagues that have tried to address this and they couldn't do it because they're men. So she's like, well, I'm a woman, so I'm going to like use that to get my message out there. So
And
basically, she's a honey badger.
She's such like prime gray autism too.
Yeah.
Prime A, like
I know.
triple A.
She looks like her boyfriend or husband, if she has one, looks just like her, but a male version.
Yeah.
With like a bow tie and a pocket protector. That's what I'm. And
But
they
it's
do
a
science
little bit of a
together.
head scratcher how they reproduce, but you know, it works.
Yeah.
No, does that mean
It's science.
it's science? They've reproduced through science.
Yeah, they science life into being.
Okay. All right. I am good. So I will tell you all. Please send your comments. I should probably check to see if there's any stuck in the chute, because sometimes that's what happens. All right. Nope. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us those comments. You can send them at any time. If there's anything that twigs your fancy and you want to make commentary, then feedthebadger.com/justthetip is the best way to do it. Best way to send us a tip. Best way to send us a comment. And if you want to support the show, because it's getting towards the end, as you all know, the end, my friend, when we either live or die. So feedthebadger.com/support to make sure that we continue to live, so that we can continue to predict what people will be saying in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So feedthebadger.com/support to make sure that this crystal ball keeps crystal balling. Shit, that did not come out the way. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking
All
more.
right.
It was like, tea leaves.
Tea leaves. Okay. Our tea leaves.
Or tarot cards or something.
Tarot cards, taroting.
Bones. The bones? Like
knuckling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rattling. Okay.
Or the Buddha thing with all the little incense sticks, and you shake them, or like those sticks and one of them flies out. I don't know, the Chinese way of predicting. But anyway.
Yeah, all of the predictions we have.
All of the tools of
prognostication.
Divination.
Yeah. Yeah, we got them. Anyway, feedthebadger.com/support to make sure that keeps happening. Prognostications keep prognosticating. All right, handing it back to you, Brian.
Okay, well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed in the show today, and please, please, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we will talk to you all in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.